This is how we do it. It's Friday night, and I feel alright. The party's here on the west side.
Mate, absolute banger.
Absolute bangers. What's happening, everybody, and welcome back to the True Gamer Podcast, the podcast hosted by two gamers for you, the True Gamers. I'm one of your hosts, Eddie, along with my bro, the inverted gamer himself, Sheps. How's it going, bro?
It's going good.
Yeah?
It's going good, yeah. It's going good because I finally figured out how to talk into this mic, which I'll forget in about 10 minutes.
In about 10 minutes, you'll be like, oh, so how are you all doing, guys?
Yeah, just gaming back here, gaming.
Lots of gaming.
Yeah, lots of gaming.
None over here, unfortunately, none
No.
over here. I'm doing okay today.
Okay.
However, I know of the topics we're going to be talking about, and
This morning,
it's hurt me, so I don't know how I feel.
Okay, because the thing is, I don't know what the topics are yet,
Yeah.
because we do like to do that. One knows topics, one doesn't. But you said to me this morning, you know how last week we were going to read out comments, but we had a really packed week of like any one of those could have been the topic for the whole podcast. Another week like that, right?
Another week like
Yeah.
that, and obviously as well in the usual fashion.
Yes.
Sony and all the not Sony. The news broke immediately after we recorded our podcast, because that's always the way, guys. If
While
any
I
of
was
you
on
guys,
my way home, basically. Yeah.
exactly. If any of you guys ever want to know when the news is going to break, ask us when we record. We record on Thursdays in about 12 o'clock, guys, just so you know. And then
Yeah.
after that, about 5-6 hours afterwards, all the news will drop. So be on Twitter at
Yeah.
those times. You get it hot.
The 5 or 6 hours is important because it takes us about that time to like get everything set up, record. Have we got everything? Do everything, put stuff away,
Yeah.
transfer files, that sort of thing, and then I'm on my way.
Yeah. And then boom,
Here's some news.
here's some news, guys.
Here's a big controversial topic that would make a great video.
Exactly. But anyway, at least we're back here and we can talk about it now.
Yeah.
There's a silver lining, I guess,
Okay.
is that when news comes out, obviously it's very hot right there, and then it gets to be discussed and refuted and whatever it might be.
Right.
So there was one bit of information that came out like 2 days afterwards. That,
Okay.
But it's not even big enough for me to go, thank God we didn't record that, because we would have looked like idiots.
Yeah,
But-
because we would hate to ever record anything that wasn't 100% factual, right? It's not like we'll hear something and just run with it. No way. Not like we'll see a patent leak and be like, Sony are making this thing.
they're making
We've
it,
done
guys.
like 10 patent videos because it's interesting patent information.
Yeah.
But they've made none of those things that we've covered yet.
We've done, we've
PSVR 2 is the closest to... Oh, and there was that back button paddle thing.
yeah.
Those are the two maybes, and then 8 absolutely nots. You know?
But we're like, hey, this is interesting. It would be cool if Sony did it. No,
Right. Yeah, it would be cool if they did it. No.
No, they didn't. Yeah, so that's what's happening there.
What have you been playing?
Oh God, mate. Oh shit. So
You don't know,
I've-
just buying for time.
I played a little bit more of Outriders, but it's actually
Yeah.
gone on the back burner for a little bit, because I did do a couple of streams so I could wrap up Resident Evil 7
Yeah.
in preparation for Village. And me and Adriana played it. We beat it. We got to the end. It was actually a really fun game. I mean,
Cool.
despite the terrors that there were in that game, there were some moments where I was like, I'm not gonna look up. I'm not gonna look up. I'm gonna look this way. I'm looking this way.
Right.
I know there's something over there. I'm not
You
gonna
give,
look.
you give the controller to your girlfriend so that she'll like look up randomly at the ceiling and you won't have to deal with the enemy. Yeah.
She's like, oh, I can't get it down. Don't worry, that's good. That's good.
It's
That's
fine, it's
fine.
fine.
You just keep
Yeah,
going.
yeah.
But we beat it, and
Yeah.
it was cool. It was great, and I'm actually excited now for Resident Evil Village.
Okay.
This was my first Resident Evil game, just for anyone that didn't know. So yeah, that's really cool. And the other game I was streaming last night, I've got back into Bloodborne, because I am hell-bent on getting that bloody platinum. It's been 6 years since I first played that game, and I got all of the trophies, and then that was the only one that was left, and it's been haunting me ever since. And luckily, a bunch of the guys in the community have just like started to play Bloodborne as well. And I was like, cool, these guys can join me in all of the dungeons, and we can play. Carry me, exactly. That's really what it is. Katie's carrying me. That's what's happening right now. And then I can get through it, and I can get this platinum finally.
Yep.
And it'll be like a rising from the ashes, like a phoenix. Except Bloodborne has the most obtuse co-op party system
Right.
ever known to man. It's like they went, how does everybody else do it? An invite system? That's very interesting. Let's not do that. Let's do something completely worse.
It did seem a lot like, although actually the system worked to get you there. You know, the Division 2's raid. How it had the best party joining system up until the end game content. But no, this was actually way worse than that. I was thinking
it's almost like, so it's like a Souls type game, right?
Yeah.
So it's like it's all about being really, really hard. They were like, the game's hard. Let's make the matchmaking hard as well.
Right,
that's part of the meta. Come on, guys.
Playing with your friends on hard mode.
On hard mode, right there.
Yeah.
And that's just like, and the worst part is as well, it's like when somebody dies in your world when they're playing with you, they get kicked out, and then you have to go through the whole process again.
Right,
and you're
right.
like, just
end me now.
You just want to kill yourself.
Yeah.
But we did make some progress. Didn't get the platinum yet yesterday, but I'm looking forward to doing it again. Sean said he'd help me out, and that was really cool as well. So
cool.
Yeah.
That's
what
cool.
have you been playing? Have you been playing anything cool?
My chick saw you guys playing Resident Evil, and she wants to stream or something, right?
Right.
And I was like, it's Ed playing, and like Adriana's like keeping him company. Like they're both doing the entertainment thing, which is very surprisingly difficult, and like you have to be on the ball and stuff, but it's you playing.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, I want to play, and I'm like, but you can't. Not that I wouldn't let you. You can't.
Yeah.
Like you're the most frustrating person you can imagine. She's that, where she's looking up at the thing and walking around. I can't find where I'm going. You're not looking where you're going, So I'm like, here, look, play some of these games. Because I have like Spyro and Crash, like the most recent Crash, not Crash 4.
Yeah.
I went, play that. And so I've been watching her play, and my blood pressure is going through the roof. And I'm trying to be like that supportive guy that makes her want to play more.
Yeah.
But oh god,
it must be difficult.
It
right?
is difficult, and the worst thing is, I'll say something like, "You've tried this same thing that hasn't worked 15 times.
Yeah.
Maybe try like taking that jump from a different angle, or not hitting that box, or go the different way. No, I want to do it my way. Yeah, but your way doesn't work. Your way.
You've tried it 14 times.
I mean, maybe I could get your way to work, but you obviously can't. Let's try something different. Like maybe the thing you're doing doesn't work. Try something else. No, I want to do it my way. That's not how games work.
That's not how that works.
That's not how games work.
It's supposed to be the way it's done.
And I missed the stealth is optional, but sometimes you just got to assassinate somebody, So that's been putting my blood pressure through the roof.
Pull that a bit closer. Pull that a bit closer to you right there.
Like
so,
this.
There you go. Yeah. Talk behind from. There you go. Like
yeah. Cool.
There you go.
It's fine. This is all your fault. You got us upgraded mics, but they're like way less user friendly.
They're really sensitive to like here.
Yeah, you have to really. You have to use it 100% correctly. The other one we had, which was like very entry level professional grade, but like
picked up everything around.
Yeah, it was like just about good enough for your voice quality, but it did pick up extra stuff.
Yeah.
Meant that because it would pick up stuff from anywhere, you didn't really have to be paying too much attention. This I have to be really up on it. And I may talking from this point is optional. So I've been watching her do that. I've been playing Ghost of Tsushima, but only on stream, obviously, which I need to do another stream, but next week probably, because it's been a very busy week for me. Shit, next week's going to be busy as well. Fuck.
Mate, when do we not have a busy week?
We're
Every
fricked.
week is busy.
Yeah.
This is part of being adults.
Yes, it's a lie. Don't age.
Don't age.
And I had said I was going to let everybody decide what next game we do on stream.
Yeah.
But I think I lied.
Oh, you think you lied?
Yeah, I think I lied because a game my brother's been talking about and he's spoken to me a ton about, he's a huge fan, is Nier, the first Nier.
Okay.
So like Ben.
I heard of Nier.
Yeah, like a lot of people have played the second one, Nier Automata.
Okay.
And you've probably seen a ton of like cosplay of like the chick who's wearing a blindfold in like a maid's outfit.
Black and white maid's outfit. Yeah. I've seen that. Yeah, I mean, I've subscribed to a lot of OnlyFans that have that.
Exactly. That's the second one.
Yeah.
And my brother is a big fan of the game that spawned Nier, which is a game called Drakengard, and that
I've heard of that.
Right, Drakengard is like just the guy that makes these games just wants to break your soul.
Right.
Just the most tragic stuff, and he loves those games. And I think the last Drakengard spawns Nier as like a spin-off game that they made as a result of like what happens if a magical being ends up on Earth. Okay. Right. So like at the end of the last game, you break through into a new world, but it's modern day.
Okay.
And then it introduces magic to us, but it turns out just introducing magic isn't a good thing.
Turns out not. Yeah, it probably could be bad.
And I've never played Nier, and my brother talks about it so much. In fact, I think I've mentioned once before, because, you may not know this if you're new around here, but my brother, who I've been trying to convince to make a YouTube channel about stories and like just dissecting stuff, and because he understands it at like a genuinely a master level, like way better than you or me or anyone in the Four Pillars.
That's not really a high bar, but okay.
It's not a high bar. He was telling me about this because, and this is where I'm like questioning it. Nier released with 2 versions.
Okay.
One in the West and one in the East.
Right.
So Asia, Japan, they love like younger protagonists. Like we watched a lot of anime, almost everybody's high school age.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Even though like MHA, one that I think we both quite enjoyed, even though they're clearly 22, right? They make they make really good decisions.
Yeah.
They're not 15, they're 15.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas we in the West, we love like the older protagonists. Like we like John Wicks, we like Joel and Ellie, right? So in the West, it released as a father and daughter,
right?
Which is a story that speaks to like the Western world. And in Japan, it released as a brother and sister because they're like the younger dynamic.
How did they make that work?
They just changed some of the audio, I guess, and the character model for the main guy.
But it's a whole relationship difference.
But that's how it released. And I really wanted to play the father-daughter one, but that's the original, and this is like a remake.
Right, okay.
It's a Nier something.
Re-Automata.
Yeah, something like that. So I'm kind of tempted to play it, and I know a lot of the guys who are big Weeb gamers like Zahir and even Ben Modorox, he was like, you should play.
Does he?
Well, he likes Weeb games like that, JRPGs.
Damn, I didn't know that about Ben.
And I just generally, as a general, I try not to play stuff like that or MMORPGs because I put too much time into it. I just do. I have an addiction.
Your gateway drug. Okay,
so
all right.
I'm thinking maybe that.
All right.
Which is a big change of pace because I definitely wasn't playing a Weeb game before as a Samurai Ninja. No.
Yeah. It's a very, very different
pace for me.
This is like night and day difference.
Complete
right
difference.
Here. Different parts of the world, different demographic, everything like that.
So maybe we'll do that. Let me know, like DM me or hit me up on Twitter if Nier, the first one.
In our last episode of the True Gamer podcast, where we was talking about things to play and whatnot, you brought up maybe possibly playing Uncharted 4.
Yeah.
However, a lot of people had a disagreement with you about that.
Okay.
They were like, you shouldn't play Uncharted 4 unless you play
1, 2, and 3.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I saw a couple of those, and I was like, nope.
You gotta start with Uncharted 1. And I love how they suggest these things. It's totally fine suggesting people play an entire quadrilogy of games, but you're not the one playing it. So
you're not the one playing it on a time crunch because we were playing it before Ratchet and Clank, and also Ozzy, who turns up to 1 in 5 streams. Mother fricker.
I love Ozzy, actually.
He's so funny. He cracks me up.
But he did say start with Uncharted 1. Now, I did do the same thing where I played the Nathan Drake collection, but I played that independently. I just wanted to. Is everything all right with it?
It just keeps turning.
Oh, bastard. All right, how's that? We might have to sort
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
Sure?
Yeah, it's fine.
Cool.
I'll just...
so
seamless cut. Well, I'm not cutting this. I can't be asked.
No. I played them all, so it just worked out that way. But I wanted to play those games.
Yeah.
That was different. But offering that you should got to start from 1, man.
Right.
You got.
Also, you were playing it without a game that was coming out in your sights, right? You were just playing. You needed something to stream, whereas I need something to stream between now and Ratchet and Clank. There is one thing.
Go on.
I googled how long it takes to beat Nier.
Uh-oh.
And do you remember when I was like, I'm not going to do Red Dead because that's like a 50, 60 hour game. It's just too much to commit to.
Yes.
Solid 60 hours. Solid 60 hours. And also, I believe...
Bite size, as they say.
I believe, if I have this right, the enemies...
Yeah.
Like, you can't understand them. It keeps shifting. Do you tell me you see that as well, right? It's definitely not me.
Oh, the thing... Yeah. One sec. You keep talking.
All right. I think... Is there a bolt we can tighten? There's got to be like a...
There you go.
Yeah, but now it's facing directly at me.
Don't worry, that's cool. You continue.
All right. Check the levels. How's the levels looking? We good?
Yeah, we're good.
All right. So, like, the enemies, as far as I understand it, are like these shadowy things, most of them. Is it freaking shifting? It's just me. It's in my head, isn't
it? Just go on. Even if it does, you can't help it.
And you can't, like, understand them. They just sort of make noises, right? Mm-hmm. And then if you play it again, you can unlock it so you can understand their dialogue, and it turns out it's something very dark.
Oh.
And,
okay.
But, like, you're the villain to them. Yeah. You know
like
the Halo...
the Doom thing that you... Was it the Doom or...
well,
Was it Doom or Halo you was telling me about?
Halo.
Okay, it was Halo, right.
yeah, but like the grunts, like you're called the demon. The Master Chief is the demon.
I
Oh
thought
no, the demon!
I thought it was Doom, but go on.
Yeah, and just like they're really genuinely afraid of you, and the grunts really can't do much unless they get really lucky. Like there is one grunt you have to watch out for, which is one that will suicide bomb you or put 2 grenades on its hands and run at you.
Right.
That one can mess you up probably if you're on a hard difficulty.
But the other ones,
And they're not a big deal. Like you just shoot them in the head.
and they're just afraid of you, and you're just mercilessly killing them.
Yeah. You can like sneak up on ones, and they're like scared of you or doing
So
nothing.
Master Chief's the bad guy.
Well, that's one interpretation. But anyway, it's very funny. But so I'm considering it, but I would probably get lost in that game if it was good enough, which I don't know. But it's also the kind of game that I don't naturally vibe with, which is one that is determined to hurt your feelings.
Yeah.
Like not scary, but like it. Even The Witcher, there is like a happy ending at the end, or potentially like 2 out of 3 are like okay, and at the end of Blood and Wine, ultimately you end up with Triss or Yen in a villa in like the south of Italy.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's okay.
Yeah.
Even The Witcher can end up okay. This game, no.
No. Chill.
I believe one of the endings, it's a 10-year-old game, this isn't spoilers.
Spoilers.
I believe, maybe spoilers. I believe that one of the endings, you can like choose to save the world, right?
Okay.
But if you save the world, you get like unmade. Like it's you or the world. Like you save the world, but you're like deleted.
Okay.
But it deletes your save.
Ooh, that's some consequences.
And I believe you can never use if you change the character's name, you can't use that ever again. You're just deleted. But you saved the
There's
world.
some real consequences here. But you
Yeah.
actually saved the world, so it
Right.
makes it seem personal.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, that is interesting.
So I'm really kind of tempted. I'm tempted, but we'll see.
God, the 60-hour game in
It's gonna be
Sheps'
rough.
hands.
60-hour game. Think about it. That's probably if you're trying to beat the game.
Yeah.
I'm trying to explore the whole world. Oh, I wonder if I know. Like, oh, can you get to London?
Sheps is now streaming Near Automata. Is it Near Automata or Near Replicant? What is
Who
it?
knows?
What is it?
Replicant, yeah.
Is it? Near Replicant for the rest of time.
Right.
There's no other game he can
You're
play
gonna
because he's finished this.
go all the way to London and wait for my actual bus. So it's always late.
Yeah. Anyway, this podcast
Is the True Gamer podcast.
Exactly.
And it's made possible by our incredible Super Bros over on patreon.com/conversations. Who do we have to thank?
We have Diogo Dildo, Isak the Ultimate Cumsock, Carol Torivia, aka Kacper the Friendly Patron, Record Friction, Dan the Man, Jeremy Renner, that's right, an official Avenger, Martin Scorsese's Master H. Barts 12, the midget Aloy from Smallville Sabine, the former freeloader Christian, Master Chief himself, Albiscori, Super Sus Ben Fry, who is a clone of Eddie, the Star Wars Encyclopedia, Adam Sunling, Raj Vanderlin, he's got a plan, guys, you just got to follow him on one last job, and the filthy FIFA fanatic, Joe McCormack. Thank you, bros, so much for keeping the lights and mics on and the gaming going here at Conversations. That's right.
That's right. Only took almost half an hour to get to the patrons.
Yeah,
It's
there was
fine,
a bit
it's fine.
before, but I don't know how much we spoke about there.
I feel like
But,
it freaking shifted again.
It might be. It's a bit. I should have tightened out.
I'm going to
before,
super
but
the whole thing into its current shape.
into just its current shape.
And then completely nullify the whole point of having the swinging arm to make things more convenient for me.
got this super cool arm that's going to make it convenient and just
Right.
avoid it.
Yeah,
all.
I'm just going to.
So, our boy Dan.
Yes.
The other day surprised me. He gifted me a
Yes.
copy of Master Chief Collection.
Now you have no freaking excuse. I want to see that streamed.
And I was gonna say now it's basically locked in that I have to play this game now. He did say he wants to play it with me.
Fine.
He says apparently there's like whole ton
You can
of
co-op the whole
stuff
thing.
and
You can
whatnot.
co-op the whole game if you
So
want. Yeah.
that's cool and everything.
It's definitely moving.
It's definitely moving. Let's not pay more attention to it because then we're
Hold on.
not talking
Can
about.
I- well, let me do that. That's fine.
Then
That's
it's going
fine.
to turn more. Stop.
What are you doing?
Stop.
That's going to turn even more. It's because the cable's flipping.
Hold up.
No.
Ah.
Bad.
Leave it there. Anyway, yeah, so he gifted me a copy of the Halo Master Chief Collection, which essentially has locked me into doing it. He said he
Yes.
wants to play a bit with me, which is cool and stuff. Once I make some time for that, that'd be really awesome. But he gifted me a copy of the Master Chief Collection on the PlayStation 5 controller. which
Right.
is the only way
The
to
best
obviously
way,
play any
yeah.
game, obviously, which I'm sure will rub him the right way. He will love the fact that I'm
Of
playing on a
course.
PS5 controller. The way, that's got to be the ultimate sacrilege.
Yeah.
A Halo game played on a PS5 controller. Ah!
That's pretty freaking funny. So I just checked. Halo 3 completionist is 16, call it 17 hours. That's completionist. That's everything. The main story, out of almost 600 people, took them a hair over, just under 8.5. So these games are not super difficult. Even I recommend, by the way, you should play it, being like, we've played FPSs and stuff on like hard or legendary. I've beat Halos 1, 2, 3 on legendary. It's not a big deal, really.
Maybe I'll play it and I'll just skip through all the cutscenes. Just
skip all the cutscenes so you don't get any of the story.
Exactly. Just bang, bang, bang,
exactly.
bang, bang, skip all them cutscenes.
Exactly.
I can knock it down to like 4 hours.
Right. And then also
done in one
at the
stream.
end of it, give us a review on what you thought of Master Chief's character.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'll be like, you know what? I didn't really get a feeling for Master Chief. Didn't
Just
really
thin.
come through.
Don't know why everybody loves this character. He's so thin.
So strange. I don't know
Not
what
like
it's all
Doom
about.
Guy.
Yeah, exactly. But before we get started with everything that we're doing here, guys, this is the True Gamer Podcast, coming to your eyes and ears every Saturday on youtube.com/comboplations and on podcast services around the world for you guys to enjoy however you like if you're an audio virgin. If you are over on YouTube, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell and stuff like that, getting it in early ish, because we still do. Anyway. Also, if you listen to us on podcast services, rate us 5 stars on places like Apple. It helps us out. It helps us climb those ranks and become awesome people.
It's true.
If you do like whatever we do here, which a lot of you guys do, head over to patreon.com/conversations, where you get to support us if you choose to at any one of the tiers. At some of the tiers, you can get an exclusive podcast for $1 a month. You can get this podcast early, in fact, if you like that. And by the way, I've started to add the video version as well for those people. No extra cost. It's one of those things that you just get like that. Cool. And all kinds of stuff right there, and you also get an exclusive discount to our merch store, which is also link in the description.
Just want to say, as like an extra thing, we're now streaming on Twitch, twitch.tv/conversations. So maybe Patreon isn't your thing, but Twitch is. Like that all equally supports us, and we've worked out a Twitch sub rank so that you'll get all the Discord extras.
Yeah, you get a special room where we all this where we exchange our nudes and stuff like
exactly,
that.
exactly. And then if you're like, okay, well I don't want to be one of the favorite children.
Yes.
But like I still want to be preferred. We want to know. I want them to know my name. You gotta like the video on YouTube.
You gotta do that
because I'm not your parent. I'll be honest with you. We do have favorites.
We do have favorites.
We
do have favorites.
Talking of the patreon.com/conversations. All that. This podcast, as you said, is the True Gamer Podcast, and it was made possible. It was demanded by.
Honestly, was
everybody at the $5 tier, which is why it's called the True Gamer tier now. They were like, make this podcast or else.
With how many H's was in that again?
Gotta be 5. Or else.
Or else.
Right. I completely lost my train of thought. Who are those $5 bullies?
Those $5 bullies are Jeremy Horde, Sab2557, Raj, Record Friction, Real Kermit Cinema, Adam Sunling, Dan, Isak Mani, Kacper Coral.
Is the question mark back?
No, sorry, I did that.
Do you know what I was gonna say? I miss Kacper Coral.
Kacper, come on, man, bring back the question mark.
Bring it back. What if he puts in an exclamation mark? Kacper Coral.
Doc Nutella, The Snyder Cut is objectively the best comic book movie. Albiscori, Joe McCormack, Tim Allen is a cunt, Benedict Clobbers, Zack Snyder's son, aka Batfan, Fishy, Max H, The Jackal, Cobra SS, and Jack Nicholas. Thank you, boys, so much for keeping the lights and mics on the gaming going here, guys.
That's right.
Thank you for supporting us so much. So, bro, today,
yes,
we've got a huge topic.
A big load.
It's a big load.
Right.
I don't know if you're going to be able to handle it. Some might spill out. You might need to just slap it back up again.
Wow.
It's a big one. So as I said, just after we recorded our last episode, immediately afterwards, this whole news dropped. And it's stories including how Days Gone 2 is not happening, how we are going to be getting a Last of Us remake, and how Sony apparently are preferring or favoring blockbuster titles over everything else in the future.
Okay.
Now, this one was a write-up from Jason Schreier, our favorite journalist out there, just great.
Yeah, trusted source.
Trusted source. It was a fairly lengthy article, and I sort of went through and I made my own summary of what's happening. All of those stories all actually tie in together.
Okay.
So what I've done is I've written something out that I'm going to read in sort of like bits, almost like bullet points.
Okay.
It will give you the gist of everything, and then we can talk about it all.
Right. So you want me to interrupt you between every single point?
Every single.
And we'll go on a detailed tangent. Yeah.
If we could do every single word, that'd be great.
Cool.
Great then. But I'm going to read this out, and then everyone gets the information. Then we can dissect it from there on out, and it's just a free for all afterwards. I can hear someone's fire.
I really hope they can't hear this.
I think
that's why we invested in this. Yeah.
Let us know in the chat.
Yeah. If you heard a really annoying, another annoying sound other than just us speaking, I was going to say more annoying, but it's hard to get more annoying.
It's not really possible.
We worked really hard on it. Yeah.
It's part of our brand. Anyway, all right. So our favorite journalist, Jason Schreier, wrote up this article. He posted it on it was like Thursday or Friday, one of those ones. And it's all about important things going on inside PlayStation, including the cancellation of the 2019 Days Gone. So the way that this starts is that Sony has a visual arts department within their whole company, and what that department does is essentially they go to other studios and they help them out with like animation, or they help them out finishing touches, any sort of assistance that they need. But at one point, one of the higher ups in that visual art department kind of got a bit tired and wanted to make his own project.
Right.
And he hired a bunch of like 30 devs from within PlayStation Studios and a couple outside of those studios to make their own project. They started working. They were like, if we can prove that we can do something, at least a small section of something, then we can get going. We can show it to Sony, and they'll give us our own project. Right. That's what they wanted to do. The guy's name was Michael Mumbar. That's his name, and he founded the studio back in 2007. 30 devs and a couple of people from like outside the studios and stuff like that. He began working on the Last of Us Remake. So he took Last of Us and he was going to completely remake it in a brand new engine. Not the engine of Last of Us Part 2.
Which is the Last of Us? It's on Frostbite, right?
Not Frostbite. That's EA's one.
Oh, yeah,
it's their own. It's their own one, but
that's right.
Wherever it is, it's going to be a completely new one. So ideally, it would be a lot better looking, even for
right, because it's still running off the updated engine. Yeah,
exactly, and it's going to be dedicated to PS5 as well, so it would be great.
That's good. We're going to get talking about the remake, don't worry. We're just talking about the point. Yeah,
we're just getting the points out now. This studio was never officially acknowledged by PlayStation and was never given the proper funding. And the people on this project, to the people on this project that contribute to it, which eventually led to the studio not reaching success within PlayStation. And the project got moved over to Naughty Dog eventually. And I'm going to go into a little bit of detail on how that happened, because that all ties into everything right here. Anyway, it got taken off of their hands, which is a little bit of a dick move, because they started off with it and then they just, all right, we'll take it from here, guys, and see you later. Now, it's this kind of mentality that's kind of causing unrest, apparently, within Sony Studios, within a whole bunch of Sony Studios.
Yeah.
Where PlayStation is only focused on churning out big blockbuster titles from well-established studios rather than taking a chance on someone who hasn't got a track record.
Right.
Which does lead to like stifling in gaming. If you just get the same guy making the same thing over and over again.
Yeah. I'm just getting blown up with notifications. My chick wants me to pick up cheese and stuff. I'm like,
tell her, woman, we're talking about games here. Get out of here.
Do not disturb. See if that helps. It doesn't.
Anyway,
because the lack of funding sounded good. I'm like, okay, cool. So these guys it's a passion project.
Exactly. That's how it started. Anyway, so they wanted more well-established studios like Naughty Dog and Sony Santa Monica Studios, who are a proven track record that sell consoles and get to 100 million PS4s and wanted to be doing it. And it's this narrative that further backs up what's happened to Sony Bend, who make Days Gone.
Yeah.
According to Jason Schreier and the people that he's spoken to, Sony Bend pitched a sequel for Days Gone 2 back in 2019 when the first one released, and apparently was completely rejected because Days Gone 1 got bad review scores. Yeah. And when I say bad review scores, it's sitting at a 7.1 out of 10. So not like a 5 or a 0.
Despite a very clunky launch. Yeah.
Exactly. It's at 7.1. That's where it's sitting right now. And it's adored by fans, but fans more go for, did I have fun playing the game? Yes, then I think it's good. Whereas critics go and look at it a little bit differently and ultimately worse. But whatever. That's happening there. And according to Jason, the people that spoke to him, the higher ups of Sony Bend left because of those reasons, because they got their project cancelled. And also, I think right around the time that it was happening, there was a bunch of Sony people shifting around, like new management and things like that.
Right.
So it's all contributed to this fact. Jeff Ross, who I believe is the guy, the director of Days Gone, the first one, he left right around that time as well. However, he did speak on another podcast to say he left for personal reasons and not for this reason. So there's a bit of contradictory information between like what Jason's saying. The next bit. Okay, so after that, Sony Bend were told to go work with Naughty Dog to help them finish off The Last of Us Part 2 when it started to fall behind in certain areas, and to work on the multiplayer portion of The Last of Us Part 2. At one point, they all kind of got scared. They thought that they got their project cancelled and they're working with Naughty Dog, that they're going to get absorbed into Naughty Dog and they're going to lose their independency and they're not going to be able to work on another game ever again. The higher-ups of Sony Bend asked them to be removed from that project and for them to work on their own unannounced IP, which last month Sony apparently said yes to.
Okay.
So that's good news right there.
That is good news.
But again, that contradicts with like... why didn't they allow Days Gone 2 to be made? Why are they just giving them now a new IP if they're not proven? It's a bit strange what's going back and forth here.
Yeah. There's a lot to get through. We'll have to talk about this at bullet point.
Trust me, we'll go through all this stuff for us right here. Sorry for like bombarding you with information.
Go for it. I'm also fresh to this, so you and me are like on team we don't know what's going on, and Ed's over there on his own team bad content. Please continue.
Bad content. That's it. Oh god, that's so bad. I'm so worried now I'm doing this all wrong.
No, it's gravy. Go.
Anyway, so that's what happened, right? A little bit more like subsidiary information, a bit around the side right here. The team that was making The Last of Us Remake, originally they wanted to prove themselves. This is what they made this whole bit for. They made like a vertical slice of it. They originally wanted to work on an Uncharted game. They wanted to remake the first Uncharted game, which has been a long time since it's come out. Might be worth a remake. However, PlayStation Studios guys, they said, no, we can't do that. It's too expensive to do something like that. Go and make something else. And then they chose to do The Last of Us because it would be a bit cheaper, because I guess it's more modern. It would require less time to work on.
If you say so.
That's their reasoning, exactly, right? However, in 2019, when they finished that portion of it and they were going to show it to the executives, that's when everybody changed, and it was Herman Holst now is the CEO of everything. And apparently he said, no, I don't like it, and it's going to be too expensive to make whatsoever. And they were like, you said the previous one was too expensive, so we went for something cheaper, and now you're saying this is too expensive?
Yeah, this is what happens when you get shuffling, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, here's where the fishy part happens. Not Ethan way, exactly. This is where the fishy part happens. So after that, they took those people who were working on the remake to work with Naughty Dog, to work on the multiplayer portion and stuff like that, and go along. And after a while, they shuffled those employees around, broke them up enough, and some of them left, some of them went to other studios and things like that. And then they moved the project, the Last of Us Remake project, over to Naughty Dog for Naughty Dog to finish.
Right.
So meaning it wasn't that it was a matter of price, it was just they didn't really trust them with it. They moved it over, which is really kind of shitty within a company to have that sort of mentality. A few little points there. Sorry about this again.
That's cool.
By the end of 2020, apparently the entire team was completely different. The people that are working on the project now are just there may be like one or two people working on it, and it's pretty much all Naughty Dog working on this game right now. Oh, okay, and that's all the information that we have from this, right? So we've got three big things to talk about.
Yeah.
The existence of a Last of Us remake and how it's come about.
Yeah.
And what that means about PlayStation and stuff like that. Yeah. The fact that Sony seem to be only focusing on big blockbuster titles and only trusting their biggest studios to do anything rather than anybody else coming and doing
exactly what we didn't want to have happen. Yeah.
Exactly. And Days Gone 2, the sequel to Days Gone, being completely canned from the get-go and not happening. Let's start off. What do you want to start off with first?
Let's do it in like reverse order. The whole getting the smaller company in a project that wasn't the original project that they wanted to do, and then ending up giving it. So this is my big deal.
Yeah.
And I kind of got a controversial opinion here.
Yeah.
Is that I honestly think, not really having given this much thought, weird one to think out, that I'm not sure if I want another company remaking an old title. You know, like I think if I'm gonna play The Last of Us remake, I want it to be from Naughty Dog.
It's a tough thing to say, to be like, okay, we're gonna give it to someone else.
You love this game. Here are the guys that didn't make it, bringing it to you. You know, like I don't know how I feel about that.
It depends on the company, right?
Yeah.
Like Bluepoint did the Demon Souls remake and whatnot.
Yes.
But they're really well known for making remakes. Now, I guess you have to have your first one and your second one to get known for it.
That's the thing. Bluepoint is the remake company. They're the company that remakes games for you, right? And so in a weird way, they're established as a third-party remaker of first-party titles, if that makes any sense. So I don't know how I feel about that. I do have a beef with them being like, yeah, do it. It's great. Oh, look, this thing's great. Yeah, let's move over to Naughty Dog. Although that makes more financial sense. From the guys that brought you The Last of Us and The Last of Us 2, here's The Last of Us remake.
That's the thing. If you didn't know about any of the stuff going on in the background, you'd be like, yeah, this is fine. This is completely fine.
Especially from like a marketing point of view, which is that people that don't care about games... that don't understand that gaming is by far the largest entertainment thing other than, or it may even be eclipsing porn. And not even joking, it's way bigger than movies by like miles.
And it's way more exciting. What does porn give you?
Exactly. Just confidence issues. That loads of people heard about The Last of Us 2. They heard about the controversy at least, right? If nothing else. And so they know The Last of Us 2. They've heard of it at least a little bit. So saying the company that brought you The Last of Us 2, I've heard of that game, can't remember why. This is their first one remade. Question for you though, do you think we need a remake of The Last of Us 1?
That's the big question, and I want this to be the title of the video.
Yeah.
Do we need a Last of Us remake? A game that came out 8 years ago.
Yep.
A game that was remastered 7 years ago.
No, that's not right. It wasn't remastered a year after it came out.
When it moved over to the PlayStation 4, they remastered
Oh,
it again.
yes, that's right, because it was the crowning achievement of the PS3, wasn't it? Yeah.
A game that 4 years ago got a PlayStation Pro boost to give it a higher frame rate.
Yeah.
And one that 6 months ago got a patch to reduce the file size down dramatically to like 20% of what it was.
Yeah.
This is the most accessible game.
Other than GTA 5.
Exactly. So why the hell are we doing a remake for it? There are far better games that you could spend your time and resources on to do it.
I actually agree. Bearing in mind, I want this to be up here.
Go on.
For you, the best game ever made is God of War. It's not even close. Best game ever made.
Yes.
For me, and I've said this every single time, is I have to squint to see the difference between The Last of Us 1 and 2, God of War, and The Witcher 3, for me personally. Don't get me wrong, I love like Mass Effect, but it doesn't have that story that speaks to me, right?
Yeah.
Which, as it turns out, is the father-child story. Who knew? Oh, look, that explains why I want to play Nier so much, the original father-daughter one.
It's all coming together now.
So I absolutely love this game.
Yeah.
Both of them, actually. And I think I agree with you. That said, though, like, imagine The Last of Us 2, like how fluid everything was with the, obviously, it's more than just higher frame rates, isn't it? It's like much smoother combat, more variety of enemies.
And different types of animation. You didn't have a dodge button in Last of Us 1, and 2 you did, and it was quite cool. It was like...
Right, exactly. Like, it sounds small, but like dodging, being able to go prone...
So I think you're touching on something that Mario touched on. So when this news came out, I was immediately like, why are you spending resources on this, Sony?
Right.
Either you could spend that on a brand new IP.
Yeah.
You could have, and the news came out as well at the same time when Days Gone was being cancelled. I was like, put the money to Days Gone too.
Yeah.
That's something people could, well, at least I wanted anyway. This maybe not everyone wants, but I wanted anyway. I was like, you could do anything else. You could even save that money. You could do something else. Maybe acquire a game. Maybe get an exclusive right for something. This is not something that we need. And then pretty much everybody agreed with me. Mario came in, however, it was like, actually, I think everybody does want this. Just because you don't want it, Eddie, it doesn't mean everyone does.
I bet you would play it as well, though. That's the thing.
See, that's the question. That's the thing. I didn't say I won't play it.
Yeah.
I don't think that this should happen.
Right.
I would play the shit out of a PS5 Last of Us, graphically tuned perfectly to the PlayStation
4K,
5.
60 FPS native.
Definitely. Full DS5 support. I'm saying your DS5 thing now.
We're going to switch to it. I'm telling you, no one's calling it a DualSense in a year's time.
I would fully play it, but does it need to happen? I'm happy with the story that I can get right now in The Last of Us 4.
I agree with you.
And it's totally fine, and no one has complained at all.
So I got ratioed on a tweet saying that about this, saying that the only real problem with The Last of Us 1 as a game is that it has no gameplay. And George ratioed me. It was bad. It was rough. It was rough. And the thing that people don't seem to understand is you're making the same point I'm making. Right? And my beef is that there's like 4 enemies. That's including the boss.
Yeah.
Right? And someone goes to me, no, there's not. There's like humans with weapons and humans with guns. I'm like, there's humans.
There's not.
There's 2 versions of like zombie, a zombie boss and humans and swap out what they're holding. There's not much in terms of enemies.
Yeah. They can't disconnect from the fact that the game is really good.
The game's incredible.
And it's amazing.
And
you're giving a criticism to it. That's what it is.
and I did say like, oh, it has no gameplay, which is obviously, it's on Twitter. I'm being provocative. Like, it is fun to throw a brick in someone's face and then run up and stab them, right? That is cool. But that's basically what we can do. It has a very thin, basic stealth system. Yeah. It had a much more simple, and don't get me wrong, I appreciate it's like, 8 or 9 years. It's old.
Yeah.
It had a very basic, like, leveling system. It doesn't reward you for a lot of in-game things. It has 4 enemy types, and I would love to see it with The Last of Us 2, with how smooth that. I want to see that Sung Lee legend guy making Last of Us 1 remake combat gifs. Yeah. Of course I do, right? But I want my story completely untouched. I want them to use all of the same audio.
That's the thing as well, actually.
Because a remake is not a remaster, and you're changing my fucking story. And I said it, not frick. Like, you're changing my story. You change my story, we're going to have beef. We're going to have beef.
I wonder how it would work, because back in the day, they didn't have the same level of detail of like motion capture in terms of facial animation and stuff like that as they do now. So that information just isn't there. It's not backed up on a hard drive because it wasn't there.
I would be happy, because they have Ashley Johnson and...
You're going to get them to react the whole thing.
No. They have all of their face mapping stuff.
No, face mapping is cool, but I mean, during each scene, like each person's facial expression and to like the way it moves is fantastic in Last of Us 2 because it was actually captured on a human. Yeah. And
I mean, they could react
to do that.
React the cutscenes. And then for everything else, like all in-game animations and stuff, you get a child actor and a male actor.
I hope you know you just took the budget from here to there.
That sounds like a Sony problem. Like seriously,
Listen, are you an Xbox fan? Where it's like, I don't care how much money Microsoft spends. I don't care if they go bust.
But this is the thing. Okay, they're going to remake God of War 4. And they might change the actors. They might change the dialogue. They might change the story. They might change it. Right, exactly.
This is why this is completely a bad idea.
I agree. Like, and don't get me wrong, and this is why I haven't played the God of War 4, the PS5 update, because I don't want to play God of War with better frame rate, although I love better frame rate. Yeah. I want to play God of War with the DS5 integration. And unless it's got that, it's not a PS5 upgrade to me. And if I'm going to touch God of War again, it's going to be 5. Yeah. Which had better not suck. Because I'm with you with God of War being up there. It's the best. It's definitely the best standalone for sure. I'd say God of War 4 is not related to 1, 2, and 3 in that same way.
Yeah, while it is the same character and it's technically a continuation.
Because there's you're right. The Witcher is The Witcher 3, and Last of Us is Last of Us 1 and 2, and God of War shits on The Last of Us 1 for like gameplay and stuff. Yeah. Although the stories are really good.
But this game, did we really need a remake of it?
Did we need it? No, we absolutely don't need it. It is still great. It's still good. If you're going to do it, like, man, you got to do it right. Which is why, you said, oh, you took the budget from here to here. Well, if you're going to do it, you're going to have to do it.
Yeah.
You're going to need to get all of Ashley Johnson's face mapping and put it on a child size actor, right? So, you're going to have to
How tall were you back then? 4'4".
She probably hasn't grown that much.
It's true. She was never the tallest woman in the world. Yeah. She was no Lady D. Let's be honest.
No, she was no Lady D.
I'm on the side that this. I think it can only. Oh, you know what?
It's dangerous, man. There's 99 ways for it to go wrong, and only one for it to go right.
Perfect.
And that is dangerous because they hit the nail on the head the first time, right? They got it. And
I can think
and
of
now
so
it's
many-
the nail sunk, and you're still trying to sink it.
Still
you
going.
know? Like it.
I just think of so many other ways that this money could
Yeah.
be spent, and when we tie it into tandem with the other part of this story, when it comes to Days Gone, the sequel not being greenlit, Days Gone might have had its issues at start. And they got some patches to make it better, and they continued to support that game as well for I think it was like a year afterwards. They downloaded there was free content that came out afterwards. There was a cool photo mode. It got the 60 FPS booster a couple of months ago. It's now on PC, so there's like an extra flow of cash that's coming in.
Yeah,
they obviously thought it was good enough to go to PC. That there's going to be somebody that wants to play it.
Yeah, and it didn't go to Game Pass. It went to PC.
If it was a dead game, you'd be like, okay, we're just not going to put that out anywhere and whatnot. It came out. It made you more money. 7.1, even if we look at it from just the numbers perspective, 7.1 isn't low enough for you to go, kill that shit, kill it.
Kill the studio, basically.
The whole thing, because you can build on something. Not everything comes out and it's a 10 out of 10 right out the gate. The next version is built upon and made better.
Yeah.
That any...
The Witcher 1, I don't... Let me find what's the Metacritic for
any consumer product that comes out is the first version, the version, and then that's it. Was the iPhone 1 the best version ever?
The iPhone 1 was trash, bro.
Exactly. It got better and better over time. It just kept getting better. Why do Sony think that can't happen? If it was a 7.1, what's to say it's not going to be an 8.1 in the next one? What's going to say it's not going to be a 9 in the next one?
Yeah.
It's so odd. I don't get the mentality.
This is something that I bet will surprise you.
Go on.
I would prefer if they made a Days Gone 2 than remake The Last of Us. Well, I haven't played Days
100%.
Gone. I haven't played Days Gone, and it amuses me to mess with you. But Days Gone ended up as a really good game.
Yeah.
From everything that I hear. Or even, because you will have sent me these things, I think, because I asked about, because if you're playing a game and you're disappointed and you're like, oh, but there's a patch coming, we genuinely talk about gaming a lot.
Yeah.
And I think you sent me a video comparing the original animation to the new one, how much slicker and smoother it was, right? Ended up being good. I would rather that, because there's a 1% chance this remake of The Last of Us is any good, right? Because if they touch anything, and I'm sorry about the Mass Effect changing camera angles and stuff, not just because you're not getting Miranda booty, which, oh my god, is it worth it?
Tragic, we've lost it right there.
But also, as much as it's silly, that was what was originally in the game. That's the game.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, old movies, right? Movies that were made in the 20s, you shouldn't edit out rude language or there's racist language in, is it Dam Busters? Yeah, Dam Busters, their dog.
Dam Busters?
It's an old World War II movie.
Okay.
It's a movie. It's black and white, I'm pretty sure. It used to come on around Christmas, but their dog has a very uncouth name.
H. Bart's 12 will tell us he knows all about the classic movies.
Right. And I get maybe not putting it on TV all the time, but I would not be for them remaking Dam Busters being set when it is set and changing names. Don't Google it. It's a very specific example.
Yeah. The whole thing about remaking something is to try and capitalize on nostalgia, at least how people remember it. If you change it, then it doesn't really make sense.
It also bugs me because it's written and the characters are somewhat accurate to how they would have been.
Yeah.
And I don't like the idea of changing it because, the awkward truth is that, say, World War One and World War Two people were likely to be quite racist by today's standards, right?
Yeah.
But that is the accurate retelling of the history. And there are some incredible things done by incredible people who in other senses might have been pieces of shit, but they did incredible things at the time against a much worse evil. And making them fit to today's standards is, one, not accurate, and two, kind of really dangerous. You shouldn't rewrite history.
I feel you on that.
But in a less extreme sense, I want Miranda's booty in my face. It's supposed to be there.
It was there before, I want it again.
But so I think giving the money to those guys to do a Days Gone 2 would have been better because, one, we don't... there's a much better chance that they... Even if it's 25% that they come up with a good game, that's better than 1%,
I love who was the guy...
It's not just 1% they come up with a good game, it's 99% they ruin one of the best games ever made, one of the best stories ever told.
Yeah.
right? But it
It's
could
one
be
of them. It's one of them things where people are like, when you talk about Indiana Jones, like the fourth one, we just forget that. It'd be like the remake. We don't talk about that. We don't do
that.
Why would you want that?
Or you don't.
That's the thing. I can totally tell that in Sony.
I've never played Days Gone either, and I would prefer they have a studio that ended up with a really good product, take that and make a second product with everything they learned. Let's see what they can do.
Yeah.
And if they suck, then they suck. So what? But 7.1 isn't enough to not take the risk.
And you want to hear something as well? Not that this guarantees it would look good or anything like that, but it was built on Unreal Engine 4.
Yeah.
So the next one would probably be on Unreal Engine 5, and we've already seen how amazing that engine is already.
Mate, if they can make an Unreal Engine 5 PS5 only title,
it's gonna be nuts.
It would end up being really, really. Well, look, it might just be interesting to see what they come out with.
True.
I mean, it's tough to say. I think I want to see what the Ratchet and Clank launch numbers look like.
Yeah.
Because we are at a much reduced capacity for potential buyers.
Yeah.
Then again, hopefully we're all starved, right? So hopefully all the PS5 users go, well, this is the first PS5 exclusive. There isn't much to play at the minute. Let's get it. And they can, everybody gets it. I'm hoping. But anyway. What was the next topic?
So involved in all of this is the Sony Bend. They got taken off of that project. They are working with Naughty Dog in Fears of Getting absorbed, and they're working on their own unknown IP, something brand new. Jason
the Horizon
Schreier,
remake.
You know what I mean? Jason Schreier is adamant that it's not a Days Gone 2. He's saying it's definitely not that. Okay. Even though the director who used to work on the first Days Gone game says that when he left in 2019, it was in active development.
Yeah.
Contradictory information. We don't know what to believe here. And Naughty Dog are apparently working on another Uncharted game.
Oh, yeah.
Now, in the last one, it did seem like it was over. It did seem like Nathan Drake had reached the end of his story.
Spoilers.
Sorry for all the guys that didn't play one of the most iconic PlayStation games ever.
Me.
Yeah, you haven't even played Red Dead as well. This is bugging me. Get on these games. Get on these huge games that
Excuse me.
I
have to play a remake of an 11-year-old game, if you'll excuse me.
Yeah, so apparently working on a new Uncharted game. We have no idea what it's going to be, whether it's going to be... I won't say the spoiler scenes. You haven't played it then and whatnot. There's
his kid or whatever, right?
Yeah, okay.
He's a kid. I know. Yeah, like I've been spoiled about a franchise I didn't care about, and so I retain the spoilers. But I'm sure if I was to play the game, I'd be like, oh man, I wish I hadn't known, right? But maybe. I don't know, and I don't care about it yet. So
people thought that maybe it was going to be
his daughter, right?
His daughter carrying on the story, and then maybe he'll make an appearance.
What's he call her? Like Lara, in it, and he's amassed a fortune.
He's amassed a fortune. He's got like a mansion and everything like that.
Somehow she has 2 gats.
Somehow it just works out like that. It's come full circle. They're in talks with Square Enix.
She's this weird genetic disorder where she has triangle breasts.
Bring it back. Let's bring it back. Let's make a funny joke.
It is literally like the 10 polygon Lara in real world action. Like the graphics are so good, everything looks real.
Yeah.
Except Lara from like the PS1.
Everything else great. Lara. Polygon.
Yeah. So weird genetic disease.
That's the rumor going on there. With all of this news that you've heard here, and based on how Sony are going right now, how do you feel about PlayStation and Sony at the moment?
So, they have come out with the best titles.
Yeah.
Right? That's just, I don't give a frick. The last thing that was really genuinely good on the Microsoft side of things, at least console-wise, was Halo.
Yeah.
There was other thing that was really genuinely good. Or maybe, when was the last Fable? But one of 2 franchises that hasn't put anything out in 10 years. And in that time, we've had the best games ever made off the bat, right? You had The Last of Us 1. That was the best game ever made.
Yeah.
And then a bunch of other games up until like God of War. And I would argue The Last of Us 2 should be in there. Ghost of Tsushima for many things, except maybe just its full story. But forget the final enemy and stuff. But so I dig it in that sense, which is that they have a good track record, Sony, of bringing out these incredible titles. However, it worries me because if this becomes the trend, then maybe a Sucker Punch doesn't get a AAA banger project, and then you don't get Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe maybe, Days Gone 2 would have been just like an incredible thing. Maybe that would have been like the new just zombie thing where people are, oh my God, have you played Days Gone 2? Days Gone 1's a little bit rough, but it's okay now. But like, oh my God, this is good. And it ends up with a TV series. And like, that's possible. It is possible for these things to happen, but not if you don't let people at least take a shot. And I feel like a 7.1 for your first project, or like the first in a franchise, although we don't know how good the pitch for 2 was. 2 could have been a shit idea.
Could have been a terrible pitch. Pitch.
But I think you wanna have room for like the rebels to come out with something.
Yeah.
Like, I think my best example of it is Nazi zombies.
Yes.
From COD World at War. So Call of Duty 5, if you don't know, one of the devs just made this mini game because he had access to all the assets, right? And he made it and was playing it, and then it ended up being a thing that everyone in the office played when they weren't working on stuff. Because you know what dev houses are when they're not in crunch. It's like there's beer in the fridge, and and everybody in the office was playing COD World at War, and they were like, "This is so good, let's just include it in the game." And it was literally one guy's pet project. And Nazi Zombies is one of those things that I always look for in like a Call of Duty, or used to when we were COD fanboys, right?
And it's treated now just as seriously as the main game or as the multiplayer.
Which it should be. It's an incredible freaking game. And it was one guy's thing, and it's a very basic game ultimately, which is it's just it's a horde mode, round count. That's it.
Yeah.
But he had access to the COD assets, and he just made some Nazi faces, which I imagine the first ones were very rough.
Yeah.
And that was it. But it was addictive. It was brilliant. And the thing is, without allowing some kind of freedom and people to try new things, you don't get stuff like that. Like Fortnite's a really good example of what happens when people try new things and pivot because they have the flexibility to do it.
Yeah.
Which is, it started as a PvE, Save the World, I think it was, right?
Yeah, Save the World. It was awful. Everyone hated it.
Right. And then somehow ended up in this battle royale with the building thing, and Fortnite I think is still one of the biggest, if not the biggest battle royale. It makes huge amounts of money.
Yeah.
It's just having the flexibility to change and try new ideas is really can pay. Look, sometimes you can bury yourself with it.
Yeah.
But sometimes you dig down far enough and find gold. And it worries me that they might not be allowing that to happen.
That's what I'm worried about as well, because if you... There are some games that are coming out now that are a bit smaller. So Returnal is a smaller game. It's made by Housemarque and people they've had experience with before, but it's not a big blockbuster title.
Right.
So with this kind of mentality, would that game ever have been greenlit? Would that game ever have been allowed to exist?
Because now, these games are like 2 or 3 years into development. That means this was in the height of last generation's money made.
Through.
Yeah.
So they had that. But in the future, we're ever going to get little games like that. And I'm on the fence about Returnal. I think it looks amazing, but it's so different to what that developing company's done before that I don't know if they'll nail it. But I'm definitely going to buy it and try it for myself. And if it turns out to be amazing, that could be a title that Sony
could be
just
another
pass
sucker
on.
punch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A game that they have no right to be making, but they did, and it turned out to be amazing.
Yeah.
And it's such a blank way of looking at it. It's like the ones and zeros on a page. It's like, is this company good or bad? No, they have the potential to be great. It's just yes, no, yeah, no, fucking get out of my face.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
The thing is as well, sometimes you need to try stuff and it needs to fail because it's a great idea up until it hits the market.
Yeah.
Like a perfect example for me is it Evolve?
Yes.
Do you remember that game? Where this was in like, I want to say 2016, 2017?
Something like that. I think it was
where like battle royales hadn't really taken off yet. But they were starting to get there. Like we knew about Fortnite, but weren't playing it.
Yeah.
It's a kid's game. And this is a similar kind of thing, right? Because you have 4 people or 3 people in a team and then a monster.
Yeah.
It's not that dissimilar from kind of a battle royale team versus team type deal, and you don't know which one is the one, right? It could well have been that MLG, like professional stuff tilted towards that. It could have happened. Mm-hmm. You don't know. You're just trying new things, and it's important to make the best game you can make and see if this is a really big deal, because how dumb would you feel if you had passed on Evolve and that had ended up being Fortnite instead of Fortnite?
Yeah.
You'd feel right, but you don't know. And Fortnite didn't know. The guys at Epic didn't know Fortnite was going to be
Not
what it
at
was.
all.
You don't know, right? Like most of the good things you are stumbled on by accident. Nazi zombies, Fortnite. So you got to try new stuff.
Yeah. And I remember the days of PlayStation 3 where PlayStation would take chances with everything and they would try these quirky games, and maybe not all of them were commercial successes, and there were a lot of games out there that were loved by a lot of people but not to the levels of God of War that would never get made, and also are not around anymore because now PlayStation is just worried about those huge blockbuster titles that are going to make them a lot of money. Now, I get it from a business standpoint. You put your money where your golden goose are to lay the golden eggs, and then you just get more money, print more money. I get it. That's fine. But then you just limit yourself to, the joke that Xbox saying now where they're like, oh, if you want a PlayStation game, you just want a third person open world action game. Is that all you want? Is that all you want? Because all of them are third person over the shoulder action games. And I'm like, okay, I kind of get it. And
they
I'm not
are
saying
also at the minute the best thing out there.
And that's the thing. You can boil it down to whatever you want, but there's still an amazing story, so there's nothing you can say. But if PlayStation continue that narrative, then it's just like, even I'm going to be like, all right, I want something else from you.
That's the thing, is that I get what you're saying about it being a good business move, but it's a good business move right now because my concern is that they're saying, well, we know the formula to make winners, right? But people's tastes change. Like, these games might not have been that popular 15, 20 years ago, right? And that's an enormous time in, like, if you go back to 15, 20 years gaming. But in 5 years' time, third-person open-world RPG games may not be what we want because we've had so many of them. It might be that we want there's a brand new kind of game that comes with, like, a different way to tell the story, right? It might be that people just get a craving for retro stuff. Weirdly, we might be like, do you know what? The new stuff that's come out, it's not so great. Like, I want emulators. I want to go back and play Pokemon where it was like 3 colors. Yeah. And because people's change stuff, it's not something. Well, maybe not like.
Times change as well. Like, even in movies, I remember back in the day when it all used to be about zombies, like when Walking Dead was around.
Yeah.
And then it changed over to vampires, and it was all about that Twilight shit and whatnot. It was like Twilight this, and now it's superheroes. And granted, with the power of Disney pushing superheroes, it stayed for longer than any of the other stuff before.
I mean, technically, just Star Wars is superheroes. It's psychics with lasers.
Exactly. Yeah. But soon, comic book heroes will go, and something else will take its place. And same thing will happen in games. Something else will move on. And if you're stuck in this, you're going to be left behind. And what they've got right now leaves no room for anything.
Yeah. Also, these games getting bigger, right? Yeah. And maybe it happens that in a few years' time we get really into just games we can knock out, because as time goes on, the amount of gamers that are older and have less free time is increasing, because the top end of people are living longer and also in gaming, right? If someone that was 40, 20 years ago is probably still maybe into games if they were into games then.
Yeah.
Or like someone who was like, we're 30, right? In 20 years' time, we're still going to want to play games. So we'll be 50.
For shizzle.
So...
See, I'm still hip.
Yeah, for shizzle. Down with the no gang signs. So it might be that the larger body of gamers just don't have the free time, and we become really addicted to games we can knock out in 10 hours in 2 or 3 sessions. When we can find time. That might be the big thing. Even though right now you and me are like, I want a meaty 30-hour game with like incredible story, but it might be that you actually want an incredible story just condensed into 10 hours. That
actually brings me to, it's funny, it was a little glance topic that I wanted to bring up. Kotaku put out a report saying, oh god, it's so funny. It's Kotaku is saying single-player games might be making a comeback. And I was like...
Pardon me? Wait, what?
What? It's like Kotaku with this A-star reporting again.
Hold on. Single-player games have never... gone away.
They've never gone away.
They've always been present. They've always been big in gaming. The only thing they're not big in is competitive, because you can't be competitive. I mean, even then though, the speedrunners,
what they took,
Wayne's just got a world record on this stuff.
Exactly. And granted, it wasn't in a good game.
It wasn't a real game, but he had 500 people watching.
Exactly.
You know?
What it is that they saw the wave of like multiplayer games like battle royals like Forkknife come along and obviously take the top numbers because you can include more people into it. And they were like, well, that means single player games are dead. When it was like, say like if it was 60,000 people watching a Twitch stream of a single player game and then another one comes along with 120, there's still 60,000 people there.
Right.
It never left. It's just, and then when this comes back down again, that's still there.
Right.
It's, you idiots. It never went anywhere. Anyway,
and this is why you can't trust game journalists. Anyone.
I was just like, good job there, Kacper. Good job.
That's ridiculous.
I sent you a clip on just now on your iMessage, if you can open that up for me, and I want you to turn up the volume and watch it. I'm going to mute my one because I've heard it before and I can hear through your one anyway. Okay. Let me know when you've got it at the beginning and pause it, and then we'll watch it together. It's a clip.
Shall I read it out?
I'll read it out for you. It's a clip from Sean Layden, basically, back in, I can't remember which E3 it was. I think it was 2016 or 17 or 18.
Just take
one of those
6 away from 21 and...
From one of those ones, right? It's incalculable. I don't know what to do.
2015.
Oh yeah, it says 6 years ago. There we go. Right.
It literally says the first 3 words are 6 years ago.
Sean Layden giving a little speech at E3.
It's impossible to know which E3 though. We can't
at PlayStation's E3 event, and it resonated with me because I feel like this era was the perfect era of PlayStation. And I want you to... I'll read it out now. 6 years ago, Sean Layden delivering the most forgotten speech of PlayStation's E3, which for some reason, it really struck with me. This is this person, Lance, talking here. As the things that what makes PlayStation so appealing. The CEO saying it wasn't a multi-million seller, but it was that wasn't the point at the time, was nice. Hit play for me.
A little earlier, I was delighted to hear Andy give a shout out to one of the most iconic games of our time, Vib Ribbon. Yeah, give it up for Vib Ribbon.
Oh no, it's Twitter that's not matched.
A personal favorite of mine that really embodies the PlayStation spirit. It wasn't a multi-million seller, but that's not the point. Vib Ribbon was unafraid to go against the tide. It was courageous in its ambition, and it brought a completely new experience to gamers. It's an incredible time to be part of the PlayStation family. I look forward to growing our gaming community through breakthrough experiences that inspire and delight. After all, guys, it's all about the games, isn't it?
Okay, I'm going to say up front, I like the absolute lack of gaming, gamer, pro-consumer, the buzzwords. Mm-hmm. It does sound like the golden age. With that being said, Sony has done exactly the opposite of what we're complaining about in their hardware department. Mm-hmm. Right? We're worried that they're going with just, this is what makes the golden goose start churning out golden eggs. On the other hand, they have sunk what must be many millions. If I had to guess, I mean, it's easily into the double digits for millions, right? If it was 100 million, I wouldn't be shocked, or more, for like the DS5, all that haptic
just
research
and development,
the 3D audio, right? I wouldn't be surprised if it was 50 million or more, which is not something they ever needed to do. No, because until they did it, no one knew that this needed to be done. Right? Mm-hmm. Until they did the PSVR, no one cared really for a consumer-friendly... And what I mean by that is like, if you want to get into VR and the PSVR doesn't exist, you need to either build or have built a pretty strong gaming rig. You need to figure out... It's a PC, so you're going to be dealing with drivers and...
Tons of problems with gaming. And
just nothing but problems, right?
Yeah.
This thing, you plug it in.
Done.
You get the game, you plug it in, and then you hit play. Because that's why we love consoles, it's convenience.
Yeah. So
in that sense, they've gone far above and beyond, and they're doing this. It's not about the money, because I will be 100% with you. I don't think the DS5 was worth the money. From them, as a business standpoint, I don't think having invested that much money into the haptic tech and adaptive or everything and the research is going to pay off in any meaningful sense.
I think it's going to be great, but I don't think it's going to be quite the amount that probably they put in research and development into it. It's going to be very offset. But that you need to do that kind of stuff, right? That's the point.
It is absolutely the right move. It's going to be incredible for immersion. I do think people are going to say, I played both games on the Xbox and the PS5, and I just prefer it on the PS5. I don't know why. And it's going to be all the immersion they didn't remember, they didn't notice. But I don't think it's alone. I don't think it's enough to push consoles. But that's exactly the stuff that needs to happen. It's not about, was it a multi-million seller? No, it was about making the games better.
So
but then again, with the games, like, it does sound like they're pushing. So they're a tough.
So there's this. Yeah. Let me summarize my thoughts from what we was talking about just before you said that, because your bit comes afterwards, and there's also a counterpoint to my own point that I'm gonna make as well. So, like, to summarize my thoughts of what we said before. I'm kind of nervous for PlayStation.
Yes.
Because it seems like they're getting a little bit complacent. They're like, we're just going to stick with these things, and that's what we said we didn't want.
Didn't I say?
We want a strong Xbox to keep them
in the middle of last gen. In the middle of last gen, at the height of Xbox and PlayStation, the console war, I said we want a strong Xbox. We're not ragging on Xbox because we don't like Xbox. We're ragging on them because they're not pulling their weight. And that means PlayStation's going to get lazy.
Exactly.
Sony's going to get lazy. So we're calling it, yeah.
We come from all parts of PlayStation's history. Like, I started with PlayStation. I had PlayStation 1 all the way through. But my favorite era is this era with Sean Layden.
PS4, yeah.
I'm used to the era where we had, like, Shuhei Yoshida, Adam Boyes, Andrew House, Sean Layden, because that was my favorite time. They were these people that you knew, and they were clear. They cared about games. They cared about delivering great experiences, and they didn't stand on a stage.
Game on PS4.
Yeah, it was a good to see that time as well. It was nice. But they didn't jump on stage and mock you or make you feel or patronize you with the words like gamers and things like that. They just came out and they were like, we're making great games, and PlayStation's got this great game, guys. Do you want to come see it? Let's go see that.
And they didn't tell you they were pro-consumer. They just did pro-consumer stuff.
Exactly.
And it also showed in 3x or a little bit over 3x the number of consoles shifted. Yeah,
exactly. And now we don't have those names. All of those names have gone, and all we have is a random woman that we don't know what her name is, a voice in every single State of Play video where she's like, and the next game is Kena Bridge of Spirits. And it's like...
You even said the name wrong.
Exactly. There's no personal connection anymore to Sony. Now, on the other side, while we don't like these people per se, but there are a lot of people out there that fall for this stuff and also do like them. On the other side of that coin, Xbox have Phil Spencer. They have Major Nelson. They have Adam Greenberg, who are out there talking, tweeting, all over the place. Yeah. And they make it personal. They make gaming seem more of a relationship between people. And that's good for their company.
You have a personal relationship with the company because you know a person, and Sony's only got Mark Cerny, who only does deep dives.
Exactly. But it comes out of his cage when there's a new PlayStation and goes back in and never to be seen again. We just don't know anything, and we've lost that personal touch which used to make PlayStation. Now, even with Phil Spencer and Major Nelson, with all them going out there and saying everything, they don't carry 1/10 of the charisma that we used to carry back on PlayStation. With
I completely agree.
But against Zero, it looks like a mountain.
Yeah, a 3 out of 10 is massive, is a huge peak compared to Zero.
Exactly. That's what we're living with right now, and compared it looks so bad.
To Faceless Voice.
Exactly.
That says, very, very bland, cold comments like the next game is, and then says the name wrong.
And if you look at what Xbox is doing now, right now they don't have any games, but they've done a ton of investment, and they've got a lot of studios, and they've bought a lot of IPs, and in a couple of years' time they could have great big games.
I hope so.
And if they have the people as well on it, which again they don't have to be amazing, but even if they get a little bit better from there, and they have the games, and they have the platform, and they have the backing of Microsoft. I'm very nervous for PlayStation.
I think that's a good thing. I think the idea that PlayStation just has the lead and doesn't have to worry needs to be completely stripped from Sony, because otherwise we don't get incredible games. We get investments in all the wrong places. Like, start the project and then we give it to the guys that...
Yeah.
Which I don't have a problem with Naughty Dog doing it either, but if it wasn't their project, like you got to fund some stuff and some of it's going to miss.
And clearly it was good enough that you thought, let's continue this project, and you just ripped it away from someone as well. it's not like they did a bad job and you were like, okay, let's give it to someone who actually knows what they're doing.
Right.
It's you were like, I prefer if it was done by the people who made it.
Yeah.
Because they're established and because we have trust in them now.
I mean, there is one way.
Proved it.
There is one way to do it as well, which is you say like, okay, from a business standpoint, this remake needs to come out under Naughty Dog. So we're giving them the project, and you got two options. Either you can continue the project and we'll say it's Naughty Dog in association with, or you can leave the project and we're going to fund another title, like your next project. You got to go through all the steps, but if it's a good project, we're going to fund it. That's the way you do it. You don't just say, thanks for doing all the work here, and it's Naughty Dog's now.
Yeah.
Because also, these dev houses that work for Sony, almost all of them cannot be working for Sony now. Because as much as, for example, Santa Monica, who made God of War, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Sony owns Santa Monica, but it doesn't own the people.
No.
Any one of them can leave.
Yeah.
And if they were like, if they had good enough reasons to, they could. And they could go to Microsoft and say, we're the team that made God of War. We had these other projects that were shut down. Let us make them.
Yeah.
Will they be God of War? No. Almost certainly not. Will there be something? Yeah. And there'll be no God of War coming because the team will have left.
Yeah.
Right? So, I don't know. I want a world where Xbox has good games coming out.
Yeah. Keep it close to you.
Oh, yeah. I want a world where Xbox has good games coming out, but I also want a world where that forces Sony to say, okay, let's invest in... Not even, like, Days Gone 2 is a good thing. I think they should make that.
Yeah.
But, like, let's try something different.
Yeah.
Let's try a different version of, like, those Evolve games. Let's try a Battle Royale. Let's do these things. Let's try an
FPS. Let's try this puzzle game, whatever, man.
Right.
Let's try this platform.
Do
Let's
a Killzone Battle Royale. See what happens with that.
Exactly.
Or do like a freaking Astros Battle Royale. Something, anything, like something, make it something quirky. Like all of you take this acid and the weirdest idea we go with,
Just for shits and giggles, it will be something different, right? And no one can fault them for trying something new.
Yeah.
You just go, you know what? You threw shit at the wall, it didn't stick.
Right.
Happens.
Or what would be so bad was saying, okay, let's go on any one of these like indie areas and find the best rated indie devs and ask them if they got a project and they want to be involved in a real team and lead something.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't. Okay, fine. Maybe someone does. And maybe it's a good idea. Right? How hard is that? Or maybe you open up like an indie area for the PSN.
PlayStation used to have the biggest indie section ever with Shuhei Yoshida, and now he's still there and he's still behind the scenes working and trying to get deals made, but it's far less to what it was before.
There used to be almost no barrier to entry. You had to basically have a game to get it up there. That's it. Yeah.
And PlayStation was this place where, don't get me wrong, there was a point where PSN was absolutely littered with indie games, and you couldn't find anything you wanted in it.
Maybe it went too far the wrong way as well.
But now they've gone too far the other way, and it's like, now you're stifling creativity and there's no new things.
Because also, like, look, if you... One of the things that I admire the most as, I guess, games is Dreams. Because the whole point of the game is creativity. Yeah. And some of the stuff people have made on Dreams is outstanding. Somebody made Halo in it.
I saw, yeah.
And... also was more polished than Halo Infinite. I'm not even joking. Go and check it out. But the whole point of that game is to allow people to explore their own creativity. Yeah. And it's incredible for that. So why not take that as a concept and run with it and say, okay, look, the indie thing, when we did it before, there was just too much trash. We just let anything on here. But let's take people that maybe indie devs that have a track record. For example, some of the current practices and some of the old practices. Let's see what they can do. Maybe we give them some money. Maybe we go and ask the top 10% of high-rated indie devs to pitch us a game.
This is one of the things that maybe the reason why people love Xbox so much is that Xbox have a ton of money that they can throw around at anyone, and if it doesn't work out, it's only 500 million. Who cares, right? So 500 million. But PlayStation don't have the luxury to do that. Now, they're not skint, so it's not like they're like, I lost 10 quid. Right. They can fund indie studios. They can fund small projects. Or they can fund a big project and it not work and they'll still be okay tomorrow. Right. But they don't. And that's the issue, and that's the problem right there.
Even the idea that I set out was, I guess you take minus however many 100 man hours to email those top rated indie devs, asking them to pitch you for an idea for a game that you guys can make in concert, right? As a Sony funded indie game, right? So it wouldn't really be indie, but it's like where whatever the budget for Ghost of Tsushima was, 90 million, I think, can be like 5 million.
Yeah.
Almost nothing in comparison, right? Why with a team of 5 or 10 devs and see what happens, see if you can make something. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? What's the worst that happens? It
Nothing
flops.
really. It can't be that bad, really.
Right.
It can't be that bad.
It
It's not
flops.
nothing different. It's not going to destroy the brand of PlayStation.
No,
so
of course it won't.
What's the point? Now, to counterpoint to what we've been saying,
Yes.
it is possible that Sony are quietly working behind the scenes to make everything great again.
Yeah.
Which it's been used before. Let's steer clear of that.
Yeah.
So make America great again. So make everything great again. Mega. There you go. It's Mega, guys. There you go.
It'd be like, let's say, a drive towards...
towards
a
something.
Mega Drive. We'd call it the Mega Drive.
They could be coming out with a whole new initiative for indies. They could be coming out with a couple of exclusive games that are going to blow people's socks off. They could be coming out with an entirely new strategy in forms of like studios and developments to get more big blockbuster titles out more frequently. So then it's like it fills up the plate even more. It could be that the next Uncharted game is closer than we think. Could be the next God of War game is closer than we think. It could be that they figured out a way to do backwards compatibility that they're going to work out for free, and tomorrow they're just going to be like, here we go, guys, because you've all been asking for it. We've quietly been working on it. It could be...
That's true. It
could be that there's a rumor as well that PlayStation are coming up with a counterpunch to Xbox's Game Pass. It could be they're coming out with that. I don't know how that would work, so we can't speculate on it just yet.
Yeah.
But that could be coming out. But the problem is that you're not talking.
Yeah.
PlayStation aren't saying anything.
Both these companies do not know where and when to flex. That's just because they're ultimately run by suits. That is the big deal.
And that goes back to the thing I said before, where it was from a day that we had all these names that were persons, people and personalities on stage used to be like, I'm in love with this guy. And he just happens to be attached to PlayStation. And now we have none of that. So
you're a Shuhei guy, or are you like a Major Nelson guy?
I remember tweeting constantly to Shuhei Yoshida or Adam Boyes or Andrew House. He was the British one. And I remember when he unveiled the price of the PlayStation 4. And he was like, $399, 399 euros, or if you're from my home country. And I was like, such a personal touch that a suit wouldn't make. But he made, and I was like, oh, fucking Andrew up there representing UK.
Represent.
It's like, if you're from my home country, £349. And I was like, yeah, get in there, boy.
Yeah.
But we don't have any of that.
No.
It's just this faceless woman. It's like, Kina, Bridge of Spirits. And it means nothing. It means nothing. But PlayStation
it's too
could
clinical and clean, isn't it?
Exactly. PlayStation could tomorrow turn around and go, because I tweeted out about Sean Layden. I was like, I really miss Sean Layden, that guy.
Did he respond to you?
He liked my tweet.
Did he? No
I
way.
was like, fucking great. But it turns, I felt special for a moment, but it turns out he was liking everybody's tweets on that day he was doing that.
Okay.
And I was like, I feel less special. But still, Sean saw my tweet.
Just don't mention that last bit.
Exactly. And it could be that PlayStation are like, we heard all your cries. You want Sean Layden back.
We've rehired him.
And he's the face of the organization.
He's 60 now, but...
It could be. But because PlayStation won't say anything, and they've just left us to stew in all of this shit.
The thing is, like, I wouldn't be surprised that they do come out with all this stuff. They do come out with the backwards compatibility thing. They do come out with a lot of this stuff. And I would already argue that the PS Plus collection is closing in on about as good a counterpunch as you need to beat Game Pass.
Pretty good.
Already. Plus PS Now.
PS Plus collection and PS Plus, you mean?
Isn't it PlayStation Now?
PlayStation Now's that streaming / download service. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, like wrapping that into the PS Plus collection would make it basically Game Pass.
Oh, I see. I thought you meant now. So wrapping it in
yes. So I can believe that they would do that. The problem is, while those are great services and that all is, pro-consumer and blah, 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 it's the games going forward that we worry for, right? It's the worry that no sucker punch gets its shot to make Last of Tsushima. They say, no, you make the Infamous series. Make Infamous games. Actually, stop making Infamous games. They don't do so well.
Yeah.
Because in comparison, none of the Infamous games did anywhere near as well as those big third-person RPGs. Not to say they aren't great. They are great, by the way.
Yeah.
But they didn't do anywhere near as good as, like, say, Uncharted or The Last of Us or God of War.
I think somebody wrote in. So we're speaking of the. Sorry, finish your point because you kind of talking about.
Well, just that if you pitch a really good game, you should be able to make it if it's within anywhere close to within your wheelhouse, which is making, like, can you possibly do it?
Yeah.
And if Sucker Punch can make that, then, because the problem is Naughty Dog had its first game, right, and then its second game, and then they wanted to do a different game. And, like, if you never allow any of that to happen, like, what are we going to do? Also, they flex weird. Where's Horizon? Where is it? We are almost halfway through 21, which that has flown by. What the frick?
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
That's right.
That is supposed to be coming in the next 5 months.
Yeah.
Where is the promo material? Like, I know that the last year and a half has been a bit weird for timelines. I get it. But we need to be seeing the ramp up for this stuff.
And also, that we need to see that. And also, we don't believe that God of War is coming out this year.
There's no way.
Drop the freaking act and just tell us it's not coming out. We'll be fine with it. But
tell us it's not coming out.
This.
Drop the act and drop the trailer.
Yeah.
They see an actual trailer for it and say 2022. Okay, cool.
Cool. We all knew that. We were all ready for it.
No one's shocked.
It's fine.
No one's shocked that a game that came out a year after Horizon Zero Dawn isn't releasing in the same year as Horizon 2 Dawn.
Right. 2 Dawn, that's the official name right there.
Like, no one's shocked.
No.
Also, why would you would never pitch those two games up against each other, because the next Horizon is set to do quite well, and God of War's going to crush it if it's in the same year because it's God of War.
Yeah.
Which is not to say that Horizon.
And then also, what do you do after that?
Good. Yeah, you can't.
You put all your exclusives out. Don't get me wrong, there's
into
still
the
more.
first year of next gen, current gen.
There's still going to be like the sequel to Ghost of Tsushima. There's going to be this Uncharted game.
Yep.
But let's say that's 2 years away. Then what do you do next year?
Yeah, nothing. You have no banger.
And then those two come out 2 years' time. What do you do the year after that?
Right, exactly.
You stack them too
You do
much.
Horizon this year, God of War next year, whatever the next title is in 23. You know, you want to have one major hitter each year, roughly.
This is a big old topic. A couple of our guys wrote in to our Patreon, to patreon.com/conversations, just like you guys can by being a patron at the $1 tier. Get loads of cool extras.
Yeah, you need to scroll down to the description just below here. And while you're doing that, hit that thumbs up button. We're getting good at this.
We're becoming pro YouTubers.
That's right.
But if you're listening on podcast services, we don't care about you.
Yeah, get fricked.
Joe McCormack writes in. And he says, "Hello, bros. Hope you're both doing well. If I were to make my question clickbaity, I would ask, is there a shift in the console war?" He says, but basically what I'm trying to ask is, does this news of all the stuff that we mentioned about maybe mean the gap between Xbox and PlayStation has started to shrink slightly? If this is true, these games would have been cancelled while Naughty Dog work on another Last of Us remaster or remake. He says, right, it's remake one there.
Yeah.
Then I'd probably be gutted. Keep up the quality content and streams, dude. You're smashing it. Thank you, Joe, right there. You're awesome. Do you think the gap between PlayStation and Xbox is shrinking at all?
Yes and no.
Go ahead.
So, yes, I do think the gap could potentially be closing because Sony aren't telling us anything. Xbox or Microsoft are making these big moves, like big acquisitions and stuff. They got all these houses. We don't know what's coming, really, except for Fable in a couple of years, 3 years. However, so that's a yes. The fact that the gap jumped about 5x doesn't matter when the gap was 20, it's now 100, but then it slips to 99.
Yeah.
Right? It's the leap. You know, it's a bloodbath right now. If you're Microsoft, well, you have so much money, it doesn't matter to you. But if you independently own Microsoft, you'd be bricking it. You'd be looking to get out. This is a sinking ship, and you can't plug the holes and get the water out. There's holes in your bucket, let alone your ship, right? So in that sense, yeah, but the gap's enormous, and it's only getting worse because, like, if you guys haven't paid attention, we've mentioned it a few times, like the PS4 is almost outselling the combined Xbox X and S.
It's a strange one, right? It's like there's like supply issues and stuff like that, but
then what about the Xbox One?
I would say the previous console shouldn't be selling that much.
No,
but
they shouldn't be. And the Xbox One isn't competing with the PS4, and the One can play anything that the Series S and X can play. So it is about people choosing a side.
They're choosing PlayStation. That's what they're choosing.
Right, but the reason they're choosing it is because the PS4 was in that golden age that we spoke about, which means all the things to play are on it.
Yeah.
If you were an Xbot, you're looking at it going, well, how good is this Uncharted series? How good is The Last of Us? How good is God of War? And a PS4 Pro is very easy to buy.
Yeah.
Right? It's at the right price point. The supply is there.
Yeah.
You know? So the gap is widening.
I'm exactly in the same boat as you, and I did have a discussion with Dan about this, and I basically said the same thing, where I was like, this might be one step back for Sony and maybe 2 steps forward for Microsoft, but the step difference in between is 200.
Yeah,
so there's
one's finishing the marathon, one's starting
exactly.
It doesn't, and you've caught up.
You may have closed the gap, but it's just not a difference. But I'll tell you something that what the situation is right now. PlayStation may not be talking, and there may not be 100 games coming out right now or on the horizon like there is for Xbox and whatnot. And on the opposite end, Xbox is making all these moves, big acquisitions, deals with Game Pass, and new games coming to Game Pass day one and stuff like that. They're full bore, pedal to the metal right now, and they're not caught up yet. And PlayStation is doing nothing and is still in the lead. All it's going to take is to get round to Horizon Forbidden West or God of War, it's going
to be brutal.
And the supply chain to be opened back up, where the store shelves are full of PlayStation 5s now, and that game to come out with both of them to come out as a 10 out of 10, and for them to make 2 more announcements, let's say 1 more announcement of a brand new game, and then it's immediately the narrative is back on PlayStation again. That's all it's going to take. However, it's not there now, so that's why it looks like that. Yeah. And I said before, I'm nervous for PlayStation because of X, because of Y, because of Z. And that's the feeling that you're getting, Joe. But I guarantee you, when anything happens again, we'll have completely forgotten about it. I just don't like the wait. I don't like the in-between.
I agree.
And the possible, like, you've closed that studio, but why did you do that? It seems like such a bad move. This seems like a bad move. Make the good moves again so I can trust you again.
There is one other thing that I think a lot of people forget because, like, say people pick a side or they say, oh, Xbox is catching up, which is that, let's say in the current model of Xbox and Sony, that it was more like 50-50. So, like, let's say 48-52 in favor of PlayStation, I'd still be happy.
Yeah.
I want a strong Xbox. That would be an ideal case for me because I'd be more willing to believe that Sony aren't gonna sit back and relax. Right? I'd be like, they're keeping like the God of War and Horizon stuff under wraps to bang, to really have something to show. So even if that were the case, I'd be saying, it doesn't matter that Xbox is 48% of the market share because all the good stuff to play is on PlayStation. It'd be those same arguments. Yeah. And even in that case, I'd be happy with where we are, at least to be like Sony ponies in that case. And the fact is, they have 30% and dwindling of the market share? Mm-hmm. Because who are the people buying PS4s? It's not... The PS4 was a notoriously reliable console. So was this last generation was super reliable consoles.
There was never any issues. People didn't come up with stuff.
Right. Yeah. So it's unlikely people that, like, their consoles broke.
They're either buying a second one for their bedroom, for their kid or whatever.
Or swapping over. And that's where I think this big jump in PS4s is from. I think it's from the guys that were Xbox, have been Xbox for the last generation or two.
And I think it's also that you can't get a PS5, so they're like, I just want a PlayStation, which is just the same. They're buying into the ecosystem.
Right, exactly. And again, if it was more like 50-50, I'd still be happy. I actually... That's my ideal case where actually Microsoft does get to 50%.
It's like, shit, now I need to get an Xbox as well, and I just enjoy everything.
I really want the console war to heat up, and I don't mean like in terms of how angry people are on the internet. I mean in terms of like how close the margin is. Because then it would also maybe incentivize them to each look at the other side and say, okay, well, Xbox has the other half of our market share, and what are they doing? Oh, Game Pass. How can we work on that? And then they say, well, Sony has the other half of our game share, of our market share. What are they doing? Oh, third party, single player, story focused, character driven RPGs. Maybe let's do something, right? It would make sense. I want that world. I want a world where you and me are like, yo, which color Xbox did you get? Oh yeah, sick. Which PlayStation 6 did you go for? Yeah, I went with it. Like, I want that world.
Yeah.
I want that world. But it
doesn't seem like we're in that world though.
No.
Maybe we'll get there one day, but
I mean, Microsoft have made some good moves towards it.
Yeah.
But the problem is their business model is very... This is the answer to that question about Sony's golden goose thing, is they're slipping into Microsoft's thing, which is just... That's why Microsoft hasn't come out with any bangers in a while, because they're not willing to let anyone try anything new. And when they did, they just kept throwing money at Halo Infinite because it had the Halo name behind it.
They really wanted that to succeed, so they just kept going and going.
And then it just got bloated and it just became Windows.
Yeah. God, I hate Windows. Kacper Coral also writes into our Patreon, and he says, "Hello gamers, hope you're all doing well. Got two things for today. With all this talk of The Last of Us Remake, what PS exclusive would you like to see get a proper remake rather than The Last of Us?" He goes, "Personally, I would like to see the first Infamous, especially as I highly doubt we'll ever get a new entry in the franchise now that Sucker Punch have moved on to Ghost of Tsushima. Is there any games that stick out to you that you might want?"
Infamous one's a good one.
Yeah.
The UI was a little bit clunky, but it was a much older game. I mentioned Soul Reaver a while ago. I'd like to see that get like remade, not a new one.
Do you know what's really funny? A random post I saw on Twitter, someone was like, "What game reminds you of your childhood?" And it was a guy, he posted a picture of him holding Soul Reaver.
Right.
And it was like, I keep this in my shelf because it reminds me of the good old days. And I was like, oh, it's so funny you mentioned that. I never heard that game until you mentioned it. Is that it?
It's not PlayStation, but GoldenEye.
Oh.
Like, imagine GoldenEye, but today, where it's like 60 FPS, looks like Pierce Brosnan. Same game.
Actually looks like Pierce Brosnan.
Like, same game. It'd just be a level grind, you know, but
I would I'm sound like a broken record, but my Resistance game, I want Resistance back. That's something that I really loved. Again, not for everyone, but it's a first person shooter, so it had the variety to the PlayStation and stuff. And it's actually an old game. So a remake of it might actually be interesting. Not a game that I can literally get right now. It's in my shelf here and I can just throw it into my PlayStation.
Wait until GTA 5 gets a remake.
That's actually coming as well for the PlayStation 5. It's like they're like, GTA news. GTA 5. Okay, no GTA 6.
Yes.
His second part to his question goes, "There's a lot of job listings for Sony London studios moving away from VR and looking to make a multiplayer game," he says. A first-person multiplayer game.
Okay.
First-person shooter, I should say. He puts in back, there you go. He puts in there, I think, a new Resistance, Killzone maybe? You're speaking my language there.
Do you know what's funny?
Language. Because, or a completely new IP, what do you think it is? And especially, it's quite interesting seeing a lot of rumours of Guerrilla working on two games, The Next Horizon and another FPS game. They could be hiring a bunch of devs from, what's R6? Rainbow Six Siege, that's it. Rainbow Six Siege. Anyway, that's it. Hope you... I'm not going to say the rude word you just said at the beginning with C. I'm a good man. I'm a healthy, wholesome young boy.
Hope you Tim Allen's...
Yeah, I won't. No, I can't say that word. I didn't say that then as well. Definitely, there's no proof of it. Are enjoying no lockdown, unlike us here in Ireland. And he's got the upside down smiles. Like
yeah.
We're the no lockdown's great over here. It's gone now. I mean, I was completely the same before, but okay.
Yeah, for us, for the most part, we, because of just the nature of our lives and what we do. You mentioned about like PS4 being sort of that golden age. And it really was, even as someone that didn't vibe with Killzone, it felt clunkier than 30 FPS to me, I'm telling you, man. It felt like 15.
There was an added weight to it, and I don't know what it was. They must have made the game, but they went, more weight. We need to add more weight. Bring the slider all the way up. Yeah. I was like, why are you making it this clunky?
I didn't vibe with it, but I love the idea that day of release there was an FPS to come with it. But then again, look, we mentioned tastes changing. It used to be FPS games were the thing, right? It used to be that Call of Duty was the thing, and the online was the 6v6 TDMs and dominations and stuff, right? And then there's battle royales and story-driven RPGs. So like people's tastes do change, and that was a perfect example of where they were like, we should make games for everyone. Some people like FPSs, great. Some
Yeah.
people like these games, great. Some people want the best game ever made, knack. You know, let's bring out knack as a launch title.
No, why not?
Right. So, I mean, I really would love to see some more FPS games come out.
I would too. Add a bit of variety to the roster.
Right. The only downside thinking on it though is that for an FPS game to be successful, it needs a good online. Now, I don't want even as you know, because of the way our time works out, we're mostly single player RPG guys. I don't want to play just the campaign. Don't want to play just the campaign of COD. I want to get online, ideally with my boys, but it needs the online to have any hope of being successful, because it needs like the streamers to pick it up and play for a bit. It
That's
needs
the thing.
potentially MLG to pick it up.
You could make if you did put a great online in something, it could easily picked up by, as you said, like streamers, and that's how a game pops off.
Right. Among Us.
But I'm
Perfect
thinking
example,
of
right?
Exactly. But I'm thinking of Doom. I'm thinking of some of the Wolfenstein games.
Well, that's a really good point. That's a really solid point.
BioShock Infinite.
Although
all these first person games that can be great. It's
Doom
just they
did
will
have
be
a multiplayer,
limited.
didn't it?
It did have a multiplayer, but people didn't play Doom for the multiplayer.
That's true.
They played it for the main FPS.
But they played it for the story that happened to be told to an FPS, you know?
And also Doom had the Doom factor to it.
Right. Just the best score ever,
But I'm
murdering
saying,
demons.
If you can, every game has
Do you know
the
what, I
potential
completely
to be
retract
that.
my point. There you go. You're
Yeah,
completely
yeah.
right. You're completely right.
I thought you might. I didn't want to make you seem like an idiot, but I was like, do you know what? These other games they're quite good, but
Also, I feel like Doom may be a slightly special case because
Very special.
Doom, in my mind, not only are those games just absolutely perfect for exactly what they are, but it reminds me of the old school internet cafe LAN party online, which was like Quake and Doom back in the day, just playing with the people that you could see next to you, but it's multiplayer because you have your own screen, you're not having to screen share and stuff. Like, I think people love those games for what they've become, but what also wrapped up in that is that nostalgia of what it used to be.
Yeah.
I think, like, I don't know if I would want to play any other game that wasn't Doom. I played Doom Nukem. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I think that was like 2014 that came back out. So, like, again, one of those much older games. It was a different time. Like, half the stuff in that game is him, like, is this blonde, giant, muscular American dude. Looks like fucking Arnie out of The Last Action Hero, smoking cigars, looking at porno, drinking beer, you know? Like, it's just a different era. And I wouldn't want it to be any different. I also wouldn't play the multiplayer for that.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
It's also very difficult to do a first person and make it very compelling. Like you said, Doom has its story, even though it's not got a story, but has got a story, and it works somehow. Right? It's just magic. But there are games that are like that. For example, I had the game in my head and I've forgotten about it. That doesn't work well. It's escaping me, but you can't always. Oh. Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Cyberpunk is a great story, but how much more compelling would your connection with V have been if it was third person, if you could see your character?
I totally agree, yeah.
And that's the thing, isn't it? So, like, it's amazing how being able to see your character adds to the whole connection and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they might be able to make a great story, but they might lose some of that connection just because you can't see your goddamn character.
Yeah.
And then if they go the third person route, then they just made another third person shooter. It's just another fucking thing. So it's a tough ball of wax.
Also, third person shooter, nowhere near as good as third person RPG or first person shooter.
Exactly.
Like, it's the all the best bits combined in the worst way to make a game that could have been really good but wasn't, you know?
Yeah. ____ writes into our Discord server.
Good to know.
He goes, not really a question, but topical ranty things from from news this week. He goes, Naughty Dog are doing another Uncharted and a remake of The Last of Us. I love you, Naughty Dog, but move on. That's exactly what I said in my tweet as well. Just like, move on. You finished Uncharted. Let's get new ideas. The Last of Us is 8 years old. I've never heard of a game being remade that soon. Please put your resources to new things. The game looks and plays fine as it is currently.
I actually do agree. Mm-hmm. I think The Last of Us could have waited another 5 to 10 years to be remade. Yeah. Especially because Last of Us 2 came out last year and a bit ago, which to me says that the series is continuing, at least in my head. I hope they don't make a 3.
Yeah.
I just think, you know, I thought making a second one was dangerous enough. It worked out, But like the idea that they can make another one work, and when I say worked out, it was 50-50. People hate that game.
Yeah, there are people that actually hate that game.
There
Still.
are people that played it that hate it, or played it and thought you played too long as Abby. You know, which agreed.
So
but
someone
like
right now is like, "Ooh, Abby." Ooh.
right. So the idea that you can make a third installment and it be risk free in that sense, I think is ridiculous. But in my head, because there's a second one that came out recently, the franchise isn't dead.
Yeah.
Which means the one is like an active it's a game in an active franchise. Right?
Needs a remake. It absolutely needs a remake, right?
So that's silly to me. Like it needs a remake the way Ghost of Tsushima needs a remaster.
Yeah.
Right? It's ridiculous. Isn't it stupid?
He also writes down, side note, Sony moving hard on turning their games into movies or TV shows. I've suddenly lost all interest in them. Still not over The Last of Us casting, and I just don't need a Horizon Zero Dawn movie, which, by the way, they've confirmed Horizon Zero Dawn. Sorry, no, it's a rumor right now. Sorry, it's not confirmed. That there's going to be a Horizon Zero Dawn movie. And I'm exactly in the same boat as Jack right here.
I 100% agree.
I was kind of like, I mean, it's a video game thing. It's probably not going to be good, but I'll keep my eye on it. I've lost everything.
I'm going to say I'm in the boat with the casting for The Last of Us, which is to say, and I hope they're right, because I've been so wrong about so many castings. I was wrong about Heath Ledger as the Joker. I was wrong about Christian Bale as Batman. I was wrong about Ben Affleck as Batman.
When have you been right? Let's be honest.
Yes, it's
about
a good point.
anything.
So I hope I'm wrong about this.
Yeah.
And I really do hope it ends up being incredible. But I just, as of right now, don't see it. Again, hope I'm wrong. Have a terrible track record with calling it. Hope I stick to that terrible track record.
Yeah.
Horizon, though, is the exact perfect idea to just be a game. Zombies, cool. You can make that into a movie. You can make that into a TV series. Been done tons of times before. Robo dinosaurs, not ideal. Not ideal. It's
a tough one, isn't it?
It's all the wrong things to work for this thing. So there's a reason that Pacific Rim works so well. It's that there's never a human being in the shot for scale, right? They're always in stuff that's a set, and everything outside's complete CG. The whole thing's CG, so you don't have to worry.
Yeah.
Having a human fight a robo dinosaur isn't going to work. It's one of the reasons Jurassic Park holds up, because any dinosaur in there is animatronic, or a dude's hands in the puppet.
Yeah.
They're interacting with something physical. They're not going to be able to do that.
Do you know what this reminds me of? What this Horizon Zero Dawn movie reminds me of, what it's going to be, what I get the feelings of.
Yeah.
You know those Netflix movies of like, wherever they tried to do something futuristic and they had like a robot in it or something like that. And it's always, do you know what? That's really good CG for someone who has a budget of £10.
Yeah.
And I can tell that it's fake, and I know that this is like a small project by a little team, and great for them.
Yeah.
But that's what it is, and I feel like that's what it's going to be. They're going to have a great whoever's going to be to play the main character, who's going to play Aloy.
Oh, hey, look at that standard stock Final Cut transition they used.
And it's going to be so obvious that the rest of it is going to be... It may have a big budget, but it's just going to be like...
Well, here's the thing. How are they going to make the movie work when their main character has no character? But
Get him in the comments, lads.
What happens?
Get in the comments.
What happens when, if they do make the Horizon movie and it's good, that they have to basically rewrite Aloy, and they have to make Aloy a character that she wasn't in the games, and then people want to play the games, and they're like, Aloy freaking sucks.
It'd be awful if they overtake, like they do better than the games,
right?
Like,
because that's the wrong way around, isn't it? Like how rare is it that the movie is better than the book or the source material? Right? Almost
fantastic.
never. Yeah. Don't get me
you
wrong,
guys played the game. Did you see the movie? Oh
Right,
my god!
right,
You guys played the movie. Don't play the game. Don't play. The game.
Yeah. Like, you know,
it really is a step down.
Yeah.
You don't do that.
I just, it would be. I would love to see Aloy being as a good character.
Yeah.
And a movie is the only way that that's ever going to happen, as far as I can tell. Then, I mean, my opinion is going to change if Horizon 2 comes out and Aloy actually has the semblance of a soul, right? Then I think that's a terrible idea, making it into a movie. Yeah. It's the exact wrong thing. I still think it's the exact wrong thing, but I look forward to having Aloy as a character. You know, someone that we can get to know and love and appreciate, who's going to like face any challenges or express any emotions at new experience. You know,
that doesn't sound like a thing you should do. That doesn't sound like anyone should do. By the way, they're also putting Horizon Zero Dawn characters and items that you find in the world in Forkknife. which is just always going to be a way to respect your IP.
Yeah, because Master Chief and Kratos, that wasn't enough. That wasn't...
Kratos doing this dance is definitely respecting Kratos as a character.
I mean, it fits with his story, right?
Exactly.
When I think Kratos, I think killing the Olympic gods. I think the Macarena.
That's
you know, these are two of the things that go together, right? Right.
I don't know. The thing is that
It hurts.
There's another part of this story that kind of ties into it, and I'm going to open it up with a dramatic reading here. It's going to be very clickbaity. Sony buys a part of Epic Games for $200 million.
Take that, Microsoft.
There were people on Twitter, they were clearly being joking about this, and I loved it. They were like, they invested $200 million into Epic Games and whatnot, adding upon the $250 million they did late last year or something like that. So they're just adding, I guess.
Hostile takeover when?
Yeah, exactly right. It turns out to be like 1% of the company.
It's nothing.
So
Epic's enormous. Yeah,
exactly. But
Epic's almost like a Nintendo.
We don't know what it's for. It could be like preferential rates for using the Unreal 5 engine.
Could have just been stock because they've seen the Unreal 5
or they're like,
engine.
this is a good business buy. We're going to invest in this. But I love how some people were just like, Sony's buying Epic Games, guys. Take that, Microsoft.
Sony.
I was cracking up.
Isn't that a hilarious world where someone thinks that's real? That like these two things go head to head, which is Microsoft purchases Bethesda for $7.5 billion. Microsoft PlayStation buys Epic for $200. not even what Fortnite does in a month or a week or whatever it is. You know,
There's Epic Games are like $200 million.
Yeah, this is some tasty moolah.
I could buy a lot of Oreos for that.
That is a lot of Fortnite points.
I could buy a couple of battle passes with that. It's so mad.
The idea that anyone, I just love that in my head that someone's like, aha, Sony like taking the lead.
And that's why I bought PlayStation, guys. Woo!
Like Microsoft, they're just bad at negotiating. They paid so how much for Bethesda, but look, Sony's acquired all of Epic for
Terrible. I can't
for
believe
chump
that.
change.
They just went down the back of the sofa.
Right.
200 million tickets.
There you go. Yeah.
What else was I going to say right here? Do you know what's really funny? My mouse for this laptop is downstairs, and
Is
my
it being
mouse just
moved?
moved over the screen. I was like, "What is going?" Oh yeah, she's moving
Yeah.
it downstairs. My girlfriend right there. She's trying to fuck with me. Well, let me read before
Just
we move
yelled
on
out,
to
babe,
another
you're opening
topic.
my porn on stream.
Babe, everyone can see it on screen. I'll read one more comment. It's from Dan, who writes into our Discord server, just like you guys.
That's a great place to hide porn, by the way, from family.
What, Discord?
No, you go to like family movies, like Isla's First Steps, Isla's First Word, blah, 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 blah. And then at the end, it's like home movies again, and it's just all like, you know.
Home movies.
Isla's First Tooth, measured,
You need to empty folder you need to put at the end of it as well. It's like,
empty
oh,
folder, yeah.
very
And then it
cool,
actually is empty.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then you scroll down a lot. There's just a huge scroll at the bottom. It's just like, just filthy, disgusting.
the most disgusting porn. Chicks with... I'm not going to say it. Dan
Fun
writes
fact
in-
about Nia, there is a chick with a dick.
No way.
Which I found out, yeah.
That's so inclusive. I like it.
It's very hentai as well, so.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Is it a tentacle dick? Is it?
Oh, shit. Suddenly I'm in love.
Suddenly, you and
Kent,
George...
does she have an afro?
Dan writes in and he says, I'm just going to ignore most of what happened past week regarding who is what or why PlayStation is doing these things. Sony is a business and wants to make money. That's pretty much the only reason why all of this stuff is happening. They will continue to cut deals with other studios for timed exclusive, smaller titles like AA games that are diverse, fun, and perhaps even fund them. When it comes to their own personal studios, they want those things to sell. They want to be... he makes a good point here. They can still make all those other things. Like, what they're doing internally doesn't mean what they could be doing outside of those studios. It just looks doom and gloom for now. That's the reason right there. They want to be able to capitalize on in other medias like movies and TV. What they want is not surprising. What was surprising is the curtain being pulled back on them. It really was. Like, as I said in the beginning, if we didn't know about this stuff, we would have trundled along fine, and we would have been like, okay, the next big game came out. The curtain being pulled back on them, which rarely happens. They're usually pretty good at keeping things under wraps. You can choose to believe it or not. If you want to continue seeing these cinematic blockbusters looking and blockbuster looking and sized games, that is how they're going to go about it. If you don't like them doing this, address this with your words and your wallet, and thank the developers however you can. Whether that is purchasing their games or sending them appreciations, however you choose, so like over Twitter and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He goes, my real question is, it's not if you want The Last of Us remake or not. Do you think they'll alter the faces of the characters to closely resemble the actors playing them in the show?
Oh, I hope not. They better not.
Could you imagine? He goes, they altered Peter's look in Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't put it past them to ask Naughty Dog for that request. If they do, how could you imagine they change the remake for the first one, but then Last of Us 2 is still...
That's, to me,
oh my God.
To me, that is worse than killing Joel.
Yeah.
Because that is killing
Abby's
Joel.
nothing compared to what these guys do.
Because that's like killing the memory of Joel to me.
Yeah.
They should change Ellie's face to look more like Ashley Johnson.
Yeah.
Because in the first one she looked almost like Ellen Page. Like very much like Ellen Page.
That was a lawsuit, in fact, like Ellen Page tried to sue them.
It was something like that. And in 2, Ellie looks less like Ellen Page. I think she looks more like a young Ashley Johnson, and they should take that face and put that on the remake. They should do that. They should. I actually also prefer it because I'm like, why am I seeing Ellen Page's face but not her voice? It kept messing me up. But other than that, they should freaking not do any of that unless they were to recast like tangential characters. Like, is it Tess? Joel's like the lady that helped.
The woman, yeah.
Like, if she were recast, because like she isn't that big of a deal. It's not Joel or Ellie, right? Yeah. Or Tommy. So, if you were to recast her with like a current hot, like, in the limelight actress, fine, do that. Yeah. But don't touch Joel, don't touch Ellie. Don't touch Ellie other than making her more Ashley Johnson. Nope. Don't do that. Don't do that.
It's going to be terrible. If they do anything like that, I will be at the front of the queue leading the charge of rioters to Naughty Dog's door. I'll be like, what did you do to my boy?
Question for you.
Go on.
Because it would be a remake, they'd have some scope.
Yeah.
Would you have them add more references about the Fireflies and where the Doctor is from? Like that he's from Washington, the Doctor's come in with his daughter, stuff like that, as like little throwaway comments that seed for what happens in The Last of Us 2. Because I think actually I would, in a non-intrusive way, just be like, yeah, the Doctor's coming in from all the way from Washington. He's the best virologist or whatever. Little things like that. He's coming with his family. Blah blah blah. Mention chuck a name here or two in there that later on there are characters that when you're playing as Abby. And I think that would be a good additional change to make in a way that adds like maybe 5 minutes of extra stuff that wasn't in there before.
Yeah, that could be cool.
Other than that, I wouldn't change much.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I like that little idea. There's just little bits here and there.
Right, so if you play Remaster and then Last of Us 2...
oh my God, that...
Right.
Oh, I know what's that. Oh.
Right, because we didn't know that connection was going to be there when the first game was made, but now that we do, you can go in and like kind of seed it so it looks like it was there from the beginning. But I'm talking minor stuff. I'm talking like when Joel's in the hospital at the end, that you can see like the brain scan that the father guy is looking at in Last of Us 2. You find Abby's bag. Or
I was going to say a journal that says Abby on it or something.
Or like a little rucksack with something that Abby has, and like it says Abby on the tag and stuff like that. But nothing major. Like you'd have to look, because where it wouldn't be in the middle of the room, his daughter's bag would be sat in the corner behind a locker or something, right? And you could pick up the bag and examine it.
In Spider-Man, I don't think it's so bad in Spider-Man because it's not really a big deal, and it just adds a little bit more like, here you go. In Spider-Man Miles Morales, you actually meet Peter Parker. For a random moment, you don't know each other, but you're just sort of like, hey, oh, sorry for bumping into you there and whatnot, and you get to hear him and Dr. Octavius talking. You get to just stand around and listen to what they're talking about.
Right.
This is so cool. It wouldn't work so well in Last of Us, having like a full-blown conversation and actually bumping into the character. But I like what you're saying. Just little things going around.
Maybe when you're at the hospital, you add a little bit extra of like before Ellie goes in and Joel has to walk around and get her a snack or something, and you hear like a daughter talking to her father like, "Oh, Dad, how long is this thing going to be? I want to go back to Washington," that kind of thing. And we now know that that's Abby, and that if he'd have just listened, the whole thing would be different, you know, stuff like that.
Oh, that'd be so
right, little touches, but like that wouldn't affect the game overall. It doesn't affect your relationship with Joel and Ellie. It doesn't affect any way they look. But knowing that 2 happens, you put in some of that seeding stuff, just as little bits of extra flavor.
More for you. It's more for
Yeah,
you.
and we're talking like adding 10 minutes, not even that, you know?
The Snyder Cut.
Right, make it 4 extra hours.
He also goes on and he says, I also asked this because I know everyone is asking, saying, why would you remake that game that is 8 years old, that already has a remaster? And simply the answer is money. Yeah, we know.
Yeah.
But what if they said, hey guys, it's the 10th anniversary of The Last of Us?
That's a better argument for it.
That's a better pitch.
That is a better argument for it. They should.
That is a better pitch, Dan.
And that's much better marketing. Instead of saying we're remastering this game or remaking this game that's
because if it comes out in 2 years' time, then it is around about the 10-year mark, and it's like.
But if they'd said in preparation for the 10-year anniversary, we're remaking the game, that's a much different proposition to just remaking The Last of Us.
But still, it's. I mean,
I'd feel better about that.
I'd feel better about that.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but it's just.
I'd be more excited had that been the way I found out about it, which is for the 10th anniversary, the game's being remade,
And you probably wouldn't have found out about it until late next year.
right?
So maybe it would have been further away, and it's like, okay, for the 10th anniversary, bring it out.
I'd be
People
excited
wouldn't
for
have
that.
been objective.
Yeah, I'd be excited for that.
Maybe. The thing is as well, because as we said before, we definitely would play it. If it's coming out, I'm playing it.
Yeah.
Done.
Oh,
So-
duh. Obviously,
Exactly.
I want to play. I would love to play The Last of Us with The Last of Us 2
Innit?
mechanics.
And I want to play it on grounded again. I mean, you got
Yeah,
the only way you
just
can play
want to
it.
punish yourself.
Exactly.
You know, right?
Well, it's the only way you can play the game. You start, it says grounded. That's what you have.
Right.
We can press. He goes on to the 10th anniversary remaster. He goes, would that change your perspective? I think we did say it did. It definitely sounds more like an honor to the game rather than a cash grab, right?
Totally agreed.
The show hasn't started. Filming, and I even read in the article that it finished filming by June next year. They have plenty of time for this game to come out. Yeah, so they could. He's saying potentially they could change the faces if it happens like that. If they do, it's a big mistake.
If they
Big
do,
old mistake.
I personally will be far angrier about that than Joel's death.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert for The Last of Us 2 did it back to front, but
You've ruined the whole game.
that's it. The whole
game,
franchise.
You may as well not play any Naughty Dog game ever again. You can't play
True.
an Uncharted game.
True.
Can't play any Jack and Daxter. You can't play any of that shit.
What happened? Why aren't those games coming out?
So
Instead of remaking The Last of Us 2, The Last of Us.
Seeing as we're on that, shall I bring that up as a topic?
Yeah, go on.
So D wrote in and he goes, so this is a bit of a weird topic and I wanted to hear your thoughts on this. So it turns out Naughty Dog wants to work on a new Jack and Daxter game. Okay, he says it a little bit wrong here. He says, but Sony is making them work on The Last of Us 1 remake and Uncharted 5.
Right.
It's not quite like that. What the story is that Naughty Dog were trying to transition into a multi-game development system.
Yeah.
But they can't manage it.
Yeah.
They've been trying and it always ends up going, this game's close to coming out. All right, all hands on deck, guys.
Yeah.
And then they
Always.
just leave the one in the
Right, yeah.
background. And that's what's happening.
Yeah.
But apparently they wanted to work on a Jack and Daxter game, but with all the things they've got on their plate and the things that are more promising, Jack and Daxter just being left by the wayside.
This is
what
we were saying, right? Where like
But he's like, and The Last of Us 1 doesn't need a remake. We got a remaster on PS4.
yeah, we did, and it doesn't. I mean, we made a good case for why you would do it. Plus, Dan's like it's 10-year anniversary thing, and that version of things is good. Changing the faces is atrocious.
Yeah.
However, what happens if Ratchet and Clank comes out and it's just freaking amazing?
Yeah.
Not just because of like the stuff the PS5 can do, but maybe that gets a lot of devs more interested in that style of game. What happens if in the next 5 years, games like Ratchet and Clank and Jack and Daxter just become the next big thing outside of multiplayer games? You know, like Fortnite and Battle Royales and that.
Yeah.
It could be just the good innocent fun stuff, and then ideally Xbox, who owns Rare, who own like Banjo-Kazooie and Conker, like what?
They'll get off their ass and do something.
Make Banjo... Oh, no, Banjo-Tooie was what they made. Make Banjo 3.
3. And in the comments here as well.
Or, because no one knows Banjo anymore, Banjo-Kazooie?
Banjo... Hooey?
Right.
Question mark at the end of it. Oh man. Yeah, it's actually really upsetting knowing that these things could happen and didn't happen. I'm actually truly upset about the Days Gone thing. More recently, I've been talking about it a bit more because it's one of those games that I felt like was a hidden gem people should play, and I felt like
How
I was
long is
doing. It's a meaty game. It's meaty.
Right.
It's probably like 40 to 50 hours. It's a big
Yeah.
one. That was one of its criticisms that people said it went on for a bit too long.
It kind of Valhalla it a bit.
Valhalla's like 120 hours.
What?
That's the difference. That's
Oh, okay.
seriously, genuinely. I think it's like 100 hours plus for Valhalla. Have a look. How long is Valhalla?
60 to 80 hours is just
that-
like...
Too meaty, too much. Do the same thing for Days Gone and see what it comes up with. I bet it'll come up with something like 40.
30 to 60.
Okay, so
I guess
there you
60 is completionist, 30 is just running through it, so probably a 40-hour game.
There are times where there are some stories where you're like, okay, I have to go and do this thing, and it feels a bit more like, not fetch questy, but this storyline doesn't seem like it's too important. It could have been left out.
Right.
And that's some of the criticisms, definitely, for
Okay.
sure. And they would learn on that in the next one.
Yeah.
But I feel extra gutted because I was like, I'm going to pitch this to people so they can enjoy it because I genuinely enjoyed it. And then when the sequel comes around, because surely there's going to be a
Right.
sequel.
Yeah,
it was
of
good
course,
enough for
yeah.
a sequel. And then they go and drop that on us. And I'm like, fucking Sony here.
I'm just seeing when Nier... So, funnily enough, Nier came out in 2010,
Yeah.
so it's only a few years older than The Last of Us, and that's getting a remake and no one's salty about that. But I do feel, because I tweeted out the Nier, the Western adaptation, which was the father-daughter version
Yeah.
for PS3, that does look old. It looks very dated in a way that even the original Last of Us doesn't, and then we did get the remaster, so it looks pretty up to date.
Right.
So that's probably why, because there hasn't been anything from it. But it's only, 3 years older, 3 years older, 2010 to
Yeah,
2013.
3 years older.
So, but it makes a lot of difference.
At least then it's like in double digits of years, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
11
yeah.
years old. Let's give it something, you know?
Yeah.
That's all about that big topic right there.
Yeah,
We've got two more small topics. One of them is that PlayStation got a PlayStation 5 got a PS5 firmware update.
Yeah.
You now can do a couple of things. There's a couple of things they've changed in the social features. The game-based area is a little bit more nicer, and you can use more
Game base
features
is
in there.
trash, or it was yesterday.
Exactly. They've also done a little bit to trophies, although not enough to actually make any sort of difference. The main thing that they did, though, is that they've given you the ability now to plug in external hard drives, specific external hard drives, to offload PS4 and PS5 games
Yeah.
onto them. Which sounds great at the face of it, and except it's not as good as you think, because you can't play any of those PS5 games that are on that hard drive because it was designed to work off of the internal storage.
Yes. However,
The way they explain it sounds so dumb because it's like, okay, so what you do is that you transfer it over to your hard drive, and then if you want to get that game back, all you have to do is hit transfer back to the console, and it's faster than installing it or downloading it.
well, that's what I was going to say. It's much faster.
Exactly.
The bitrate. Is it bitrate? Yeah.
Yeah,
It's far.
And I was like, this sounds too complicated.
Yeah.
The whole point of the PS4 and white was so popular was because it worked, it was done.
You put the disc in it, you play the game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you had any sort of technical ability and whatsoever, you could swap out that hard drive. It was 4 screws done.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And it used the technology that was very cheap and was available everywhere.
Yeah.
The new stuff, the new NVMe card, it has to be a certain type of card. It has to be a certain...
It's a nightmare.
It's an absolute nightmare. And this added even more to it. I tried it before you came over here today.
Okay.
It works great. And
Okay.
it actually is quite fast.
Yeah.
I put that gargantuan game of Warzone on there
Oh,
on the
really?
thing.
Yeah.
It took like 6 minutes, and then to transfer it back again another 6 minutes. It was good stuff.
Right.
It was perfect.
Because that's the thing, is that this isn't extra storage. It's consider it fast mode for games that you might want to play, right? So you could have frickin' Warzone.
Yeah.
And instead of waiting 3 days to download it again off the internet, once you download it the first time, you copy it onto here, and then it's 10 minutes, and you're
Yeah.
back to playing it again, right?
I see it as instead of this analogy works kind of more for digital games. Instead of you having it on disc, all your games in like a library, you can have all of your games on a hard drive, and then you just plug it in and go, I want that game on there right now, and then move it over.
Good guy Sony coming back to the memory card.
Back to the memory card, boys. Do you know what? That is actually like a memory card.
It is a memory
isn't
card. I missed those days. I missed the PS2 days of like the memory card, because dumb thing, but for some reason the clear purple plastics.
Yeah.
I love that for some reason. I don't even like purple particularly as a color. Like I'm all about orange or blue.
Yeah.
Like those are my colors. Maybe green. Purple's not really in there for me. I don't love red, and I'm not ranking colors. But like,
there's my green.
my Pokemon, which I associate Pokemon specifically with my purple see-through Game Boy, which I have. That's never going anywhere. I don't care how expensive how high up as a collectible it ever were to get. Getting that, my best games I would specifically save on that see-through memory card. I actually genuinely, unironically, want memory cards to come back. I want to bring my memory card round to my mate's house and be like, here you go.
Xbox did it for you. That memory card they've got for the back of the SSD that goes into the back of the... It's basically a memory card. Granted, it's stupid expensive.
Yes, there is that.
And it only works
I'm talking $13.99 for my 512 megabytes, whatever the frick they were.
Yeah. Anyway, that's happening there.
Yeah.
I'd advise everyone to try it. It is actually a good way to go, because I have a bunch of games installed on my computer just in case we ever go, let's play this on stream or something like that. Apex Legends there, Warzone is always there, Battlefront is always there. But those are the biggest games in the world, not Apex, but those are the biggest games. There's easily 250 gigabytes I could save there.
How much hard drive space you got?
Internally, it's like 666, isn't it?
I thought you said you had it on your PC.
No, it was on the...
on your PS5.
On the PS5.
Sorry. Okay.
Who plays games on PC?
That's why I was so confused.
No. And if I can put that all onto just a hard drive...
1 terabyte.
And then keep it in my drawer...
Yeah, and like if we know we're gonna be doing multiplayer stuff, you just fucking swap everything out, stick it back on. Yeah.
Fantastic. But when you put it out into words, it doesn't look right.
No, it looks terrible on paper. Also, think about it now, all your VR porn.
Yeah. Put it all onto that hard drive.
Right.
I don't need to have it, and it's hidden away so no one will see it.
That's right.
Don't want people to be like, I'm streaming one day and I turn on the thing. It's like, VR bangers. What?
That's good. VR bangers. That's great.
Oh, God, I should copyright that.
You should.
Anyway, that's what's happening there. And one other thing as well, Sucker Punch Studios apparently is working on a spectacular multiplayer game. They are hiring people right now. It's clearly 1v1 duels.
Oh my God. I was about to make a joke about a pirate thing because, me and Cass want pirates. But, mate, seriously, Sucker Punch, where is my 1v1 duels? I'm not even joking as well, because I do think... that game is perfect for it, and I think For Honor, and there's another medieval version of that, which I forget.
I know of my...
But For Honor is a really good example of that. People do like those like sword fighty type deals, and I'm sure I haven't played it. I'm sure it's great. It looks good, but the best combat I can think of is Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah.
Well, the only other potentials, actually, I think The Last of Us 2 has a banging combat system, but it's not the same kind of combat. It's mostly guns. Although actually, it's got a pretty good close combat system. The Last of Us 2.
Yeah, it does.
Actually, just man, I could really see that going somewhere.
Yeah.
And instead of 1v1 me on Rust or whatever. It's like 1v1 me on Ghost, Let's sell us like real men by stabbing each other.
With pointy things.
Yeah, it becomes the best-selling game in North London. Right?
Because that's where all the puss stabbing happens.
So, I'm seriously... like, the idea that they would go from Ghost of Tsushima with that potential right there, because it's right there, because the duels are a huge part of the game, and then they have the multiplayer in Legends, and then just make a new... multiplayer game, that drives me up the freaking wall. And I don't want to be one of those guys that tweets Sucker Punch every single day, but I will start doing it, because the very cheek of these motherfrickers that they would, like, Duels are essential to the game. You cannot finish the game without going through at least
I love this.
minimum. You have to do 3 duels. Duel the Khan.
Here we go.
You have to do many duels, and there's extra duels for like the heroic quests and stuff like that you should be doing, because they're the best bit. The duels are the best bit of the game, and they made legends. They made legends. So why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? It doesn't make any sense. And then you could do like a Dark Souls thing. You could have the Khan turn up. You could have Norio turn up. Guys with like... So it's not just sword fights. Now you have 2 guys with swords. Like you and me can go and fight evil demon Norio with his spear, and you have to do it like a Dark Souls thing, and one gets behind him and stuff. Like, why wouldn't you do that? It's right there in front of you. I'm tweeting him right now.
Answer us, sucker punch. Answer us. Oh, that was actually really good. I enjoyed that. I actually just sat back just to watch it all. I was like, yep.
What's it say? They're making a PvP game, yeah?
They're making a spectacular multiplayer
A
game.
multiplayer.
That's all it says right there. It's like a job listing, and that's what they called it. I'm telling you, if we had Sean Layden, you'd get your 1v1 duels. Bring back Sean Layden. Bring him back.
Frick these guys.
Oh, my face hurts from smiling so much. Oh.
It's not okay.
Oh.
Tell me I'm wrong. A day. Tell me. Don't tell me I'm wrong, because I know I'm wrong. Shut up.
Yeah.
You're banned. Ridiculous. I'm liking and retweeting my own tweet right now just to get it going. Yeah, retweeted myself. And the first like and retweet. What?
Let me read out these last few comments that we've got here. We did have one comment topic from Diogo.
But we can skip it.
We've gone fairly far. We'll try and keep it for the next episode.
Oh, fuck. That was the one we specifically asked him to write in for this one.
But don't get me wrong. We'll try and do it for next week. But I'm sure as soon as we finish recording this, there'll be another huge thing that happens. But we'll try our best.
It was... Last week we said any one of these topics could have been the meat of the show.
Yeah.
Same for this week. Yeah. So, I genuinely...
Yes.
Oh, no, I want to rub salt in the wound.
Basically, anything's more important than your comment.
Yeah.
Wolverainsley writes in.
Okay.
And he says, shame about Days Gone 2. I love the world and the gameplay of the first one, but the story was wank, he says. Perfect. And I was hoping a sequel would improve on that. I don't know how I feel about the new Uncharted game rumor. Uncharted is one of my favorite franchises, and Uncharted 4 was one of my favorite games ever, but it ended so well. I don't know how they could do a 5th game. Also, if Naughty Dog are only supervising it, not developing it, which is true, it's not actually going to be done by Naughty Dog. Lost my where I was supervising and not developing it, then it would lack the Naughty Dog flair. The Last of Us 1 remake is weird. It already runs at 60 FPS, so I don't see what they put the resource into remaking it a fairly recent game. Still, remaking one of the most appraised games in recent memory can't be a bad thing. Can totally go bad. Also, I agree with Diogo above me. He's talking about the previous one. We won't spoil that one. We won't spoil that one right there. Yeah, and then Luke writes in. He says, so I'm an Xbox player for the time being. So I'm not sure about all those cancelled games, but whenever any game is cancelled, it's sad. So yeah. Now that's out of the way. Time for my question. What Rockstar title needs to be stripped down, remade? I've been playing GTA 4 recentry. It's a good one right there.
Vice City, man. Come on.
We need to bring back Vice City for shizzle.
That soundtrack.
San Andreas as well.
Oh, San Andreas, I feel like is not old enough.
No, San Andreas is old.
Vice City's
Vice City's older.
We need.
Is Vice City older?
Do you know what it is? I feel like after San Andreas, the GTA stories became like you're the young gangster trying to make his way up, right? Whereas Vice City, I mean, technically you are a gangster, but you're much more like you're the young mafioso trying to make his way up. And I know that sounds different, but one's like a street level and one's like in one you're wearing bandanas and in one you're wearing suits. Yeah. And we've had a few games of the bandanas, and I want to go back to my Tony Montana, my Italian mafioso, Yeah. It's a different vibe. It's a different vibe. Plus it's like 80s Miami.
I'm with you on that. That would be a much better look as well.
And 80s stuff's coming back at the minute, like the
If they
all the
could
80s tunes are getting remade with like dubsteppy stuff behind them, and
I think in my list it's like Vice City and then San Andreas.
yeah, don't get me wrong, San Andreas should definitely be remade.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's just GTA 5 is all that's coming more. It's just more GTA 5, more GTA 5 Online.
Good
just
point.
more GTA 5 Online.
Good point.
They're gonna do GTA 5 Remake. Then they're gonna remaster that 2 years later.
Yep.
You know,
What they shouldn't do is at all go anywhere near Red Dead.
no, they shouldn't do that.
They just brought out Red Dead 2 and they
Yeah.
should just leave that by the wayside
Totally
to die.
agreed. And 5's the perfect number. There's no 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
What's after 5?
I think that's it. I'm pretty sure that's it.
To be honest, I was with Valve and I didn't know what comes after 3. I'm sure.
There you go. It's only because of my science background, isn't it?
Exactly.
And how many engineers need to go much above 3 anyway? Almost none.
Exactly.
So,
Right.
and I'm not an engineer.
Anyway, he was asking what needs a full graphical remake, and I think that's a really good answers right there. Although I like that you're playing GTA 4. It's great.
Vice City is freaking amazing. The soundtrack is incredible.
Yeah.
This is the thing, though. Is I bet the real reason that hasn't been remade is getting all those tunes.
100%.
I really bet that's it.
I remember they announced the ports of GTA, Vice City, and like San Andreas stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I bought them on the PlayStation 4, and I was like, I'm gonna revisit these. They don't hold up, by the way, so don't It's just
No,
one of
I'm
those
not. I've learnt my lesson from GoldenEye.
Take your memory. Don't play them. Don't play them. But they had some of the music in there, not all of it, but some of it. And I was like, I can't believe they got the rights for
Some
this
absolute
one.
bangers in both.
And nowadays, with how shit copyright is, and no one's allowed to do anything.
Oh, you wouldn't be able to stream it on YouTube.
Nah.
You get DMCA'd like that.
Exactly. Anyway, that's all the topics that we have for today.
Yes.
Diogo, promise we'll get to your topic on the next week, as long as the whole gaming industry hasn't fallen apart for some reason
Right.
or whatever. Then we'll get to yours.
Or if we just can't be bothered,
Yeah,
then we won't either. But
that's pretty much a spot on right there.
yeah, pretty much.
I don't know. Sometimes I'm just wake up and I'm like, I need some way to show my distaste for Diogo.
Innit? Do you know what I think we should do is when he goes to switch his name back, we should force his name to show up as ___, so we don't have to actually say it ever
So
again.
we don't have to actually say it. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the True Gamer podcast. Remember, if you've made it this far, you're one of the true gamers.
That's
one of
true.
The true bros. If you can, like,
Oh,
the
well,
video.
only if you're at the $5 tier on patreon.com/conversations.
That's
Otherwise, get
very true.
fricked.
Otherwise, you're just an audio virgin. You're just a
That's
loser.
right.
No, we love you.
But if you did make it this far, it does help us. It really genuinely helps a lot. If you could like the video, and if you're on YouTube, leave a comment about your favorite section. Seriously, or just call us cunts. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But it really helps the video engagement stuff.
Exactly.
Patreon.com/conversations for as little as $1 a month. You get early access to this. No, wait. Do they get $1? They get early
Not
access?
$1, sorry, $5 now. That's the true
$5 you get early access, but for as little as $1 a month, you get the Patreon exclusive Conversations podcast. You get some bonuses. You get access to the Patreon or supporters room in the Discord, which is the best Discord on the interwebs, which links in the description. We got merch. We got twitch.tv/conversation. We got all the stuff.
All the stuff.
When's our birthday? We got an anniversary coming up as well.
Yeah.
It's like,
when is that?
Shit.
Good question.
We're going to figure out when our birthday is, but we got some stuff,
I was
special
gonna say,
stuff for that.
This channel's birthday is sometime this month, I think.
Yeah, we'll do something for that.
Yeah, we'll do something.
We've got
for
something.
that.
You wait and see.
Anyway, guys, thank you very much for tuning in. We'll
Yeah.
catch you guys
Yep.
all next week. Catch you next week.
I'll
as
catch you
well.
next week. Well, if I'm inverted, I'll do it that way.
Yeah, you do it
that
that
feels so awkward. Let's do that. I can't.
Well, that's how weird you
No.
are. That's how weird you are.